Our tree house. When my brother and I were children, we were lucky enough to have our father build a tree house for us in an old beech which towered above a remote corner of our back garden. Timothy and I spent hours on end in that thing, and for the most part one only have happy memories of it, apart from one particular day. It was the long school summer holiday, we were 8 and 10 respectively, and we were bored out of our minds. I'm pretty sure it was Timothy who suggested running doorbells. He was 2 years older than me and almost always the source of trouble. Anyway, this seemed like a pretty fun idea to me. Most of our neighbors had plenty of shrubs in their front yards, so there was plenty of cover for mischievous children. For a few minutes we caused fairly harmless havoc throughout the street, ringing the doorbells and scurrying to the cover of the bushes. Unfortunately, around 5 knocks in, our luck ran out. The owner of the house, instead of being innocently occupied elsewhere, was on the very point of coming through the front door with a package, and we had only gotten about 12 feet away in our flight when the door opened and he saw us. If we had been actually at the door, we could probably have bluffed something, but our intent was crystal clear. The guy yelled something inaudible but clearly angry, put the package in his car and began to advance towards us. We needed no further bidding, we took to our heels and disappeared around the corner. A few streets later, we were back home, and were sitting on the garden wall, discussing the close shave, when the guy reappeared at the top of our streets. We rushed into the garden and up the rope ladder into the tree house. We lay there quietly, hearts beating double, looking down at the ground from our hidey hole. Inevitably, Mother eventually appeared in the garden, with the guy himself in tow. She had evidently seen us climbing up to the tree house. "You too. You come down here right now. I want a word with you." Timothy put his finger to his lips in an order to me to stay quiet, maybe in the vain hope that Mother would think she had been mistaken. She and the man spoke quietly for a moment, then I heard him say more audibly, "Well, I'll leave you to deal with them." We couldn't hear Mother's reply, but they went back into the house and he presumably took his leave. Presently, Mother appeared under the tree again. "Tanya, Timothy, I know you're both up there and I know what you did. I'm not risking my neck to haul you down, but you'd better believe that whenever you come down from that treehouse, the paddle will be waiting for your bottoms." With that, she went back into the house. We held out for some time, probably a couple of hours as I recall. Mother kept an old fleaback paddle for our misdemeanors. It produced a hot, stinging bottom and a whole bunch of tears, and I had no doubt we would be ending up getting a taste if we went down immediately. Timothy reckoned if we held out for a bit, Mother's anger would subside and we might get away with just a good scolding. In actuality, of course, our deliberate disobedience and delay was only making a few good swats of that paddle ever more sure. Eventually, it started to rain. The tree house wasn't really very waterproof, and our clothes soon started to soak through with the wet. We were both wearing jeans, and denim in particular is a miserable material to wear when wet. I finally turned to Timothy. "Come on, we better go get this over with. At least we'll get warm and dry." Just where we were about to get warm was another matter, of course. Anyhow, by now Timothy was as fed up as I was and we skulked through the back door into the kitchen. Mother wasn't there, but the first thing we both noticed was the paddle out on the table ready. We heard the downstairs toilet flush and Mother came into the kitchen, having evidently gone for a pee. To our dismay, there was no sign that her anger had diminished in any significant way. "So you decided to come down and face the music at last, like honest children would? Well, better late than never. I think you had better go and change into some dry clothes first, no sense in you dying of pneumonia. As soon as you're ready, get your butts back down here in the kitchen, the paddle is waiting for them." We scurried up the stairs and dispersed to our respective bedrooms. I took off all my clothes, even my panties were soaked through, I remember, toweled myself down a bit, then changed into a fresh, dry set. The last thing on earth I wanted was to go downstairs for a spanking, but I knew it made no sense to keep Mother waiting any longer. When I got back down, Mother had put 2 kitchen chairs out, side by side, in the center of the room. She already had the paddle in her hand. She tapped the furthest away chair with it. "Take down your jeans and panties, and bend over there." Timothy had yet to arrive, but I could hear him coming down the stairs, and blushed at the thought that he was about to see his little sister's bare fanny and privates. I did as I was told and bent over, feeling very vulnerable. I heard Timothy's step on the kitchen floor. Mother must have pointed at his chair, because I heard no tap this time, just, "Bare your bottom for me and bend over the chair." Timothy came to stand by me and I saw his pants come down. I got a pretty good look at his privates, too, which made me feel better, like we were even somehow. Then his face appeared next to mine, as red as my own probably was, and we briefly glanced at each other. "Timothy, move closer to your sister." My brother shuffled to his right and I felt the side of his bare bottom touch mine. "Right, hold still while I dish this out, and I hope it teaches you both a good lesson." There was a pause and then we both simultaneously gave out a yelp, and Mother's strategy at making us bend over close was now clear, as the first swat was shared evenly between my left buttock and Timothy's right. For a few hot, tearful minutes, Mother paddled us efficiently and without mercy, varying the target as she went. Sometimes just one of us would get it right across our bottom cleavage, sometimes there would be a single, hard whack to our outer buttock, then Mother would come back to the center again and the sting would be shared between both our bottoms. It seemed like an age but was probably only a few minutes. You can be sure that when we were finally allowed to pull undies and pants back up, we were both very soundly spanked children. Mother handed us a tissue each to dry our eyes and we fully expected her next move would be to send us straight to bed in disgrace. However, much to our surprise, she went to put the paddle away and came back with our coats. "Put these on. You are coming along with me to apologize. Come along, quickly." Naturally, that was the last thing we wanted, as our backsides were already on fire. So we were marched a few streets to the house which had been our undoing. Mother rang the bell, the guy appeared and he invited us in. "Tanya, Timothy, do you have something to say to this gentleman?" We both mumbled an apology, unable to bring ourselves to look him in the face. "Well, I hope we won't be having any more of your naughtiness in our street," he replied. "Did your mother spank your bottoms like she told me she would?" My mouth was dry as a bone and I could only nod. Timothy managed a "Yes, sir." What do you get when you are naughty children? This catechism was awful, but again Timothy managed a reply. "We get the paddle, sir." The man put a finger under my chin and made me look him in the eye. I really did blush deeply then but managed to nod my head. To our horror, instead of bringing the conversation to a close, Mother said, "I've actually brought them here so you can see for yourself how well they've learned their lesson. Go ahead, you two, turn around and take your pants and underwear down." Almost by now in a dreamlike state, we obeyed and slipped our underpants down just enough to reveal two well-paddled bottoms. "Well, it looks like your mother is a good spanker. Now then, you better go and I never want to catch you doing that again, do you hear?" We both nodded, pulled our pants up and, now thoroughly humiliated, we were marched home, where we were at last sent to bed with no supper. Just when we thought the day couldn't get any worse, when Father got home he came in to see each of us in turn and the paddle was used again. This time I was over his knee. The paddling we got from Father wasn't as bad as Mother's punishment, but on top of an already very sore bottom it came keen indeed. Corinne stood at the stove frying eggs. She was thinking, however, of Marianne. 6 days. That was all it had taken to get him to accept the role of being her little niece and learn how to properly act like a nice little girl. A real smile of affection appeared on her face when she thought how pretty he looked, and she began to see why her sister had been wanting to dress him up. He made such a nice girl. Jane Beverly would be at the party today, but she would be the only lady there that knew he was really a boy. Auntie I didn't plan to tell the other ladies, though she wouldn't deny it either if they had heard about Marianne before they got there. In either case it would be a wonderful afternoon. She wanted to make sure she got a picture of Marianne playing with the other girls. Then she'd send her sister that picture and also the one of Marianne hugging his doll at Mrs. Cabot's. She could imagine the effect it would have on Marie. When Marianne came into the kitchen, Corinne called her over and gave her a big hug and kissed her cheek. Marianne smiled up at her, a little surprised at the affection her auntie was showing her. "Marianne, you'll be the prettiest girl at the party this afternoon," said Corinne proudly. "But, auntie, there'll be real girls there. How can I be prettier than they are?" He sat down at the table. "Sweetheart," replied auntie, "you just don't seem to realize how very pretty you look. And with that special dress on we bought for today, you'll look like an angel." She placed a plate of bacon, eggs and toast in front of Marianne. "Auntie, was I a regular boy before I came here?" he asked. "Of course you were, darling," answered Corinne. "Why do you ask?" "Well, I know I had kind of a girlish face compared to the other boys, and Mommy kept my hair long, too. And now I like looking and acting like a girl. That doesn't seem like something a regular boy would like to do. But I can't help it. It seems nice to me now." Corinne reached across the table and held one of Marianne's hands. "Honey, don't be so concerned about that. I told you that you'd like it after a while. It's just the way you are, Marianne. And you're not the first boy that's found out they like living like a girl. There's never been anything wrong with you, dear. But I like you so much better now that you've learned to be a nice girl. Do you really think girls are better than boys, auntie?" "Oh, yes, dear," answered Corinne. "Don't you think it's better to look pretty and to act so nice?" "Yes. I guess I do, now, auntie," said Marianne, a little thoughtful about the way things had turned out. "But do you think I'll always feel this way?" "I don't know, honey," replied auntie. "You're still very young, and when you get older your thinking might change. But for now, I think you should just enjoy being a girl." "I do, auntie," said Marianne. "It's something I never thought I would do. But I do enjoy it." They finished eating breakfast and Marianne went upstairs to take a bubble bath. As soon as she left the bathroom, Corinne began working on her hair, arranging the cute bangs and tying the pretty ponytail with a pink ribbon. Later, after Marianne was dressed, she'd put just a hint of mascara and lipstick on her, as well as a slight bit of color on her cheeks. The dress that Jane Beverly had helped them pick out was a pink sleeveless dress with shoulder straps and a square neckline. It was actually a little plain looking except that it had a chiffon overskirt that whispered delightfully against the taffeta underskirt. A nice big bow was tied at the back of his waist. Auntie had also bought a new bouffant slip to go with it. The satin shoulder straps were adjustable, and Corinne lengthened them just enough so that the pretty scalloped lace hem of it showed a little below the hem of the dress. The lace-trimmed anklets were white, but her Mary Jane shoes were a soft pink. When Corinne finally backed away and took a good look at her, she started smiling immediately. "Oh, sweetheart," said auntie. "You really do look like an angel." But she wasn't finished yet. She painted Marianne's nails pink also and placed a dainty pearl bracelet on her left wrist. 2 small gold-plated barrettes, one on each side of her head, were added to keep her hair neat-looking. When Marianne finally had a chance to see herself in the full-length mirror, she began smiling also. But then she began shaking her head. "Auntie, I just don't understand how a boy can look so pretty." "Well, for one thing, you're not a boy any longer, dear," corrected Corinne. "You're a pretty young lady. And part of the reason is that you want to look pretty now." "Oh, yes. I do," replied Marianne. "I love looking pretty now." "See, honey," said Corinne. "Didn't I tell you that you'd like being a girl more and more as time went by?" Auntie, I knows what's best for you, sweetheart. I only wish your mother was here to see you. But we'll take a picture of you with the other girls today and send it to her along with the picture of you and your doll. It'll make her so happy when she sees what a pretty girl you've become. Auntie I's eyes were shining bright with a sense of her own personal achievement in making Marianne such a nice girl. She had never doubted for a moment that she could do it. For today, Corinne had abandoned her usual tailored look and was wearing a two-piece outfit consisting of a white silk top with black polka dots and a black taffeta skirt with red petticoats beneath it. Nonetheless, it still looked like an expensive outfit. She had carefully coordinated her shoes and accessories, and even Marianne was impressed with the way she looked. Catherine Pendergast had an enormous estate. Not only was the house huge, but extensive well-manicured grounds gave it a park-like setting. Marianne's eyes were popping when Corinne pulled the car into the long driveway. My goodness! What a big house, Aunt Corinne. Yes, joked Corinne. Goes to show you what God could do if he had the money. The joke went over Marianne's head, but Corinne was in a very good mood this afternoon. She parked the Continental near the front door. Several other cars were already there. When they got out of the car, Corinne gave Marianne a quick inspection, primping her hair though it really didn't need it. Marianne, Susan Pendergast is a very nice lady. She started having these bridge parties after her husband died, probably because she was lonely. So don't be afraid to speak up when you meet her. She'll be delighted to see another little girl at her home. All right, Aunt Corinne, answered Marianne, still a little pop-eyed at the size of the mansion. Instead of a butler or maid, Mrs. Pendergast herself answered the door. Marianne looked up and saw a lady with completely white hair tied in a soft bun in back. But despite the white hair, she was very, very pretty. She gave Corinne a big hello and bent forward as she looked at Marianne, still with a big smile. I suppose I should have asked you ahead of time, said Corinne, but I didn't think you'd mind if I brought along my niece for the afternoon. She's staying with me for the month while her mother is away on a business trip. Oh, don't be silly, said Mrs. Pendergast. She's more than welcome. And what's her name? I'm Marianne Beliveau, Mrs. Pendergast, said Marianne, speaking right up like Aunt Corinne had told her to. Mrs. Pendergast took her hand. Well, let's go inside and you can meet everyone. I'll show you around, Marianne. My. You certainly are a pretty girl. Inside the huge mansion, Susan led the way down a hallway towards the rear of the house and then into a large room that was set up for card playing. There were several silver platters on a buffet holding hors d'oeuvre and tiny sandwiches. Then Marianne spotted several girls her own age in a connecting room. It looked like an arboretum, and the large windows looked out on a garden. But first Marianne had to be introduced to the other ladies in the first room. Mrs. Beverly was there and smiled brightly at Marianne wearing her new dress. All the ladies were very nice, and none of them seemed to realize she was a boy. Susan Pendergast took her into the adjoining room where the other girls were. Girls, this is Marianne. Why don't the rest of you introduce yourselves to her? I'm sure you'll find she'll fit right in with your fun today. Then Susan let go of Marianne's hand and, smiling at her, turned and left her with the other girls. Like herself, all the other girls were wearing their prettiest dresses. A girl her own age approached Marianne and said, "Hello, my name is Gloria Compton. That's a really pretty dress you're wearing. My name is Marianne Beliveau. My auntie I bought this dress for me yesterday." "Well, let me introduce you to the other girls," said Gloria. "It's been a while since we had anybody new join us. But we have a lot of fun here, especially when we go outside." Marianne was quickly introduced to the other girls. One of them asked her what was in the large bag she was carrying. She opened it and took out the doll dressed like a Southern belle, and all the other girls started in with "os" and "arse." The doll got passed around and definitely met with approval. But after a while Marianne propped it up against the backrest of the couch and they began to talk about other things. "You said you had a lot of fun outside," said Marianne. "Doing what?" "Well," said a girl named Betsy, "we usually start off slowly with a walk through the gardens, but sooner or later we play hide and seek. But we have to wait till the ladies are busy playing cards. And sometimes we explore the grounds, too. It's very pretty around Mrs. Pendergast's home. She even has statues in her gardens. In about an hour, the ladies will take a break in their card game and have refreshments. Once they start playing cards again we can slip outside." Marianne thought about hide and seek and Aunt Corinne's warning about running. But for today she decided that she would do whatever the other girls did. In the meantime, they talked a lot about movies they had seen, places they had gone last summer or during the winter, school, and had a giggle-filled conversation about boys. Most of the girls thought boys were funny, and none of them actually had a boyfriend at their tender age. Their parents wouldn't allow such a thing. But they enjoyed talking about them anyway. An hour later, when everyone took a break, Aunt Corinne and Mrs. Pendergast walked over to the doorway where the girls were also having refreshments. Mrs. Pendergast was looking steadily at Marianne and talking in a low voice to Aunt Corinne. "Let me sound her out on the idea," said Aunt Corinne. "In any case she'll certainly do what I tell her to. But this would be something new for her that I think she'd be excited about doing." "She's such a pretty child," said Mrs. Pendergast. "She'd be perfect for it." Then the two women turned back into their own room and began talking with the other women. Marianne wondered what they had been talking about. It seemed to be about her, but beyond that it was a mystery. Once the card game was going again, the girls slowly moved towards the French doors that led out to the garden. Pretty soon they began to slip outside without drawing attention to themselves. They made a sharp turn around the house to get out of sight, and then began to walk slowly through the flower gardens. Marianne was very impressed with the gardens. She wondered if Mrs. Pendergast took care of them herself or had a gardener do it. But then they went around another corner and she could see even more flower beds stretching alongside the house and beyond it. A little ways off there was a topiary and at the rear of the house was a hedge maze with a fountain spraying up in the middle of it. Marianne had never seen anything like it before, but the other girls were used to it. "There's lots of places to hide around here," said Jennifer, a cute and friendly girl that Marianne had been talking to. Pretty soon, a game of hide and seek was organized and everyone disappeared except for one girl that stood with her eyes shut next to a large oak tree. Marianne thought again about Aunt Corinne's warning against running, but decided that she'd probably want her to do whatever the other girls did, and ran and hid behind a tall shrub. She was very careful not to catch the chiffon overskirt on any branches. This was also new to her, but she enjoyed playing with the other girls very much. And they had all been so nice to her. She hoped she would be coming here again. The game continued on for a half hour or so, with some girls running up to the tree when it was safe and others being chased by the girl that was it so she could tag them. There was a lot of laughing and giggling, and Marianne really felt happy. Then 5 of the ladies walked around the corner of the building and stood there watching them. Most of the girls didn't even notice them. "All right, girls," said Betsy's mother. "Time to start acting like young ladies again." There was a general groan from the girls, but they obediently stopped the game and followed the ladies back inside the mansion. As Marianne looked at the group of ladies, she saw Aunt Corinne among them, and she wasn't smiling either. "Now I'm in for it," thought Marianne. But Aunt Corinne didn't say a word to her. Still, Marianne expected a scolding on the way home. Before the ladies continued playing cards, they had all the girls get together for a photograph. Jennifer sat next to Marianne and put her arm around her shoulders. They all smiled and the camera flashed. "I hope Mommy likes it," thought Marianne. At 5 o'clock the ladies were done with card playing and had pretty much covered the current gossip as well. They began to collect their daughters and leave for home. Marianne noticed Mrs. Pendergast talking to Aunt Corinne while she looked at Marianne. "She really would be perfect, Corinne," she said. "I hope she'll like the idea." "I'll see to it that she will," said Aunt Corinne. "And I'll give you a call and tell you as soon as I've talked to her." Then she put on her hat and gloves and called Marianne to come along. On the way home, Marianne kept waiting for Aunt Corinne to say something about running. Corinne didn't disappoint her, but surprised her in what she said. "So, running around like a tomboy," said Corinne. "But Aunt Corinne, all the girls did. We were playing hide and seek." Corinne looked over at her and smiled. "Well, even girls have to get some exercise, I suppose, Marianne. And I wouldn't have wanted you to look out of place. But thank God you didn't fall down and get grass stains on your dress." "You mean you're not mad, Aunt Corinne?" asked Marianne. "No, dear. I'm not mad at you. You fit right in with all the other girls this afternoon. Did you have fun?" "Oh, yes. They were all so friendly to me." "Do you think they knew I'm really a boy, Aunt Corinne?" "Stop saying that, Marianne. You're not a boy now." And the answer is a no. None of them realized that there was anything different about you. Except for the running, you were a nice little lady today. And Mrs. Pendergast thought you were the prettiest girl there. Marianne felt a big relief when Aunt Corinne said that. She relaxed back in her seat. Then she started thinking about the way Mrs. Pendergast kept looking at her when she spoke to Aunt Corinne. But she didn't want to ask Aunt Corinne what she had been saying about her. She thought she'd probably be told when Aunt Corinne wanted her to know. When they got home, Auntie I had her take off a pretty dress and put on another one, the pink one with the Rick Rac on it. The special dress was carefully hung up and then they went back downstairs. "Marianne, you can't be hungry now, are you? It seemed like every time I looked over at you and the other girls you were eating or drinking something." "No, Auntie I," replied Marianne. "I'm not hungry at all." "Neither am I," said Corinne. "Maybe later on we'll have a little snack. Come sit down next to me." As soon as Marianne sat down, Corinne placed her arm around her shoulders and gave her a kiss on the cheek. "You had a nice time today, didn't you, dear?" "Yes, I did, Auntie I. It was so nice playing with the other girls." "I told you that you would, Marianne. Auntie I knows what's best for you, honey." She smiled down at her niece. "And in 2 weeks you're going to do Mrs. Pendergast and me a big favor. And it's something you'll really enjoy doing." "What is it, Auntie I?" "I'll tell you in a few days, but for now, I want you to realize that having nice friends means that sometimes you have to do favors for them. In this case, it's something you'll like doing." "Why don't you want to tell me now, Auntie I?" Corinne tightened her arm around Marianne's shoulders and smiled down at her. "Oh, maybe I just want to tease my pretty niece a little bit." She gave Marianne another kiss on the cheek. "Tomorrow we'll get the film developed and send your mommy the 2 pictures. She'll be thrilled when she sees them." Mommy had promised to call Marianne once or twice a week. So far she hadn't called at all. Auntie I said it was because she was so busy, but perhaps they'd hear from her tonight. "What are you going to say to Mommy when she calls, Marianne?" I'm not sure, Auntie I. I'll probably tell her that I'm trying to do what she wants me to do, and maybe tell her about today's card party and having fun with the other girls." "That will make her very happy, Marianne," said Auntie I. "And it'll probably make her anxious to get back home so she can see you, too, dear." "Auntie I, do you think Mommy will want me to continue being a girl when she gets back home?" "Yes, I do, Marianne," answered Corinne. "Why? Does that idea upset you?" "I don't know, Auntie I. I really am happy being a girl, but sometimes I think about boy things I'd still like to do." "Well, you and Mommy can talk about it when she gets back, dear." But I know she'll be very happy when she sees what a nice girl you've become." She kissed Marianne's cheek again. The affection Auntie I was showing her lately had completely changed Marianne's opinion of her aunt. She really did seem to know what would make her feel happy being a girl. And she was still learning girl things from her, too. Marianne no longer felt funny or strange dressed as a girl. In fact, she enjoyed looking as pretty as she could. She had grown to love wearing pretty clothes and acting like a girl. And it made Auntie I very happy, too. But she wondered what the big favor was she'd be doing for Mrs. Pendergast. A dangerous afternoon. And the special favor. A couple of days after the bridge party, Auntie I told Marianne that they had to go visit someone on business. But she warned her to always stay close to her while they were there. "Why, Auntie I?" she asked. "Do they have a bad dog there or something?" "Let's just say something for now. We're going to be seeing a man that has been advising me on how I should invest my money. He's kind of an ugly man, Marianne, but he's very smart. But you stay close to me. We'll take care of business and get out of there as quick as we can." Actually, Marianne had come to feel very safe when she was with Auntie I. She seemed able to handle any situation. Around 2 o'clock that afternoon, Auntie I pulled her Continental up to the curb in front of an old brownstone house in the city. "After you say hello, Marianne, just sit next to me and things will be all right. Try not to stare at Mr. Old. He's not very nice to look at anyway, and besides, it wouldn't be polite." "Yes, Auntie I," she replied. "He sure has a funny last name." "It's a very old name, Marianne," explained Aunt Corinne. They went up the stairs to the entrance of the brownstone and Corinne used the heavy door knocker. Soon the door was opened by a man that looked unlike any man Marianne had ever seen. "Ah. Come in. Come in," he said. He led the way to a very richly decorated room he used as his office. "Good to see you, Corinne," he said. "And who's the pretty little girl you have with you?" "My niece," she replied. "She's staying with me till her mother gets back from a business trip. Her name is Marianne." "It's nice to meet you, Mr. Old," said Marianne. "Sit down and get comfortable, and we can get started," he said. Corinne and Marianne sat down on a couch while Mr. Old sat down behind his desk. Marianne couldn't help but look at Mr. Old's face now and then. He was a big bear of a man wearing a dark suit with a gold chain draped across his vest. His hair was snow white, and his face was all blotchy red. But it was his nose that fascinated her. It was huge and looked like it was swollen at the end. A dark blue vein ran down one side of it. And his eyes looked watery and seemed small because of how fat his cheeks were. Corinne and Harry Old began to talk about her investments. They kept it up for quite a while. Occasionally Mr. Old would argue against some of her ideas, explaining that some of the companies probably wouldn't be continuing a growth period much longer. But it wasn't something Marianne was interested in or understood, so she occupied herself by looking at the old decorations and knickknacks in the room. At one point, Marianne whispered to Aunt Corinne that she had to go to the bathroom. Corinne told her that it was upstairs and to come right back. At the same time, Mr. Old picked up the phone and dialed a number. "Yes, Aunt Corinne," she said, and started up the carpeted staircase. "Here," said Harry Old, handing the phone to Corinne. "It's Tom Crawford on the other end. Explain what you want to do, and see if he agrees with my advice." Corinne took the phone and began talking while Mr. Old sat at his desk. But after a little while he got up and started up the stairs. Marianne was just leaving the bathroom when she saw Mr. Old reaching the top of the stairs. He came towards her with an attempt at a smile that only made him look worse because of his cigar-stained teeth. "My, you are a very pretty girl, dear," he said to her as he got closer. "I have something interesting in a room up here." Would you like to see it? Well, Aunt Corinne told me to come right back. But if it won't take too long, I guess it's okay, she replied. Harry took her hand and they began to walk down the hallway to a door at the end. His hand had just inserted a key in the lock when there was a big crash. Marianne saw Aunt Corinne standing there with the handle of a large water pitcher in her hand. The rest of it had been smashed to pieces when she hit Mr. Old over the head with it. Needless to say, he had collapsed on the floor like a sack of potatoes. Marianne was speechless. She watched as Corinne knelt beside Mr. Old and felt the side of his neck. He'll be all right in a while, she said. Corinne took the key from Mr. Old's fingers and unlocked the door. You wait here, Marianne. I'll only be a minute. Soon she came back out of the room with a folded-up photograph. Come along, Marianne. Let's get out of here and go home. I was afraid something like this would happen. But I can always find another investment advisor. But, Aunt Corinne, why did you hit him? I'll explain it to you in the car, dear. Just be thankful I came upstairs in time. In time for what? She asked. In the car, Marianne, said Corinne. We'll talk about it there. He'll be all right in a little while. I doubt it's the first time he's been hit over the head. The urge to dress. As long as I can remember, I love dressing up all feminine, but after many regretted purges I find the urge to dress returns. I have now resorted to purging my girly things to the attic so I avoid the increasing expense of rebuilding my wardrobe. What I'm struggling with is the strength of the urge that comes back. Each time it is stronger. My previous return to eye dressing was very intense and I found myself telling me to get dressed fully femme and go out. I set myself tasks like posting mail or go to a cash point. The girl inside wanted more, so I went out in broad daylight for everyone to see me. Shortly after, I lost the desire to be girly me. 8 months on and the urge has returned even stronger. Do others get this series of urges and how do you manage it? Rachel X. I used to. I didn't purge as that's expensive, but I could go for months at a time without dressing while my clothes stayed in my wardrobe. When I didn't dress, I think I was kidding myself I'd finally got over it. After a marriage and a really long break from dressing, my femme side eventually came back stronger than ever. The only real difference in the way I manage it now is that I have accepted that this is who I am. Previous attempts to hide her away was because my femme side was a guilty secret I was ashamed of, but if you have a femme side, I don't think it ever leaves you. Just enjoy being Rochelle is the best advice I can give. She's a part of who you are and I doubt she's going away. Yes, I have been through phases on and off over the years which also got more intense. In the past I managed it, wrongly, by purging and then countering it by doing overly masculine things and hobbies, hoping it would sort me out. Such things as weight training, motorbikes, and stereotypical male stuff. This didn't help. The only thing that did help was, like Chastity says, finally trying to accept it yourself. I managed that by opening up to a counselor who helped me understand a few things. As an added benefit, it also helped with my bad sleeping, anxiety and depression as well. Don't try to manage or question it too much. Just go with what makes you happy and comfortable at the time. Mine is strange as sometimes I go through months as femme and other times I can swap overnight for a day. This I don't understand, but I'm slowly learning the only way to be happy is to accept it, enjoy the moment and move on. I've had this variable urge a few times. There are weeks when I'm not bothered and happy to be male, then I desperately want to be female to some degree. Luckily my wife knows about Jenny and my children are too young to care, at this point, so I can slip into some shapewear or outerwear for an evening or afternoon. My work also has me driving around and talking minimally if at all with people, so there have been a few days when I've been at work sporting a buxom figure or fancy underwear. Got to be done carefully. If work outed me they'd make me LGBT liaison or something, extra work, no extra pay, tongue poking smiley. And then I aim, every 6 months or so, to have an evening weekend out as Jenny, at some club or another. It goes up and down, and varies a lot. Dreams and awakenings. At some level of his awareness, Carlton knew that he dreaming yet the dream, which was a reenactment of a critical situation in his recent existence, still felt vividly compelling. He was on the bridge of his Starfleet medical rescue craft, approaching the isolated mining settlement on the largely uninhabited continent of Zhukov just inside Vladivostok's North Polar Zone. The spacecraft was slowing down as he had ordered, while he was in audio subspace contact with Starbase 17. "We haven't much time," Carlton informed Commodore Lavinia Treadwell, the Starbase acting commander at the time. "We'll have to start treating those Kelvron-exposed settlers within 32 minutes at the latest, or it will be too late." 30 minutes now, Commander, Ensign Yolanda Lansford stated softly, while standing behind his bridge command chair, based on their report of when the Kelvron deposit was exposed by the landslide. "The purification drones," Carlton asked the Commodore pointedly, "when will they reach the surface?" He and his medical team were wearing standard radiation-proof armor, but it was only 15% effective against the overpoweringly deadly emanations from pure Kelvron. "Engineering doesn't know," Commodore Treadwell's voice explained, sounding intermittent and faint, "because ionic interference is scrambling the telemetry from the drones, and it may be affecting the guidance systems too. The drones were launched as soon as they were programmed and equipped to neutralize Kelvron radiation, but that took some time, I'm afraid. The interference is affecting our communications also, sir," Ensign Lansford interjected. "We could lose contact at any time." "Damn." Carlton stood up, his body shaking with barely controlled frustration, and realized that a critical decision was imminent. "We're approaching the point to begin our planetary descent, sir," announced Petty Officer Landon Bokken, the ship's helmsman. "Stand by, Commander," Commodore Treadwell's static disrupted voice ordered. "We're patching Admiral McMichael through, from the surface." Rebecca, normally Starbase 17's commanding officer, was then temporarily on detached duty. She was representing Starfleet at a psychological conference being held in the Vladivostokian Cultural Center of Montgomery. "Acknowledged, ma'am, and thank you." Carlton was about to risk his life, so he appreciated a last moment of conversation with his beloved wife. "Carlton, sweetheart, don't do anything rash yet, understand me." Although heavily disrupted by ion-induced static, Rebecca's voice was clearly recognizable. "Rebecca honey, if I don't make it back," he began, but she interrupted sharply. "Just wait, please. If I can just get some technical information for you, there may be time enough." Her voice was engulfed in a loud burst of sizzling static. "It'll take 8 minutes to get to the surface, sir," Ensign Lansford told Carlton. "Every minute means additional radiation damage for the settlers down there. Our shielding armor should keep us safe, shouldn't it?" Before Carlton could answer, truthfully or evasively, Rebecca's subspace-carried voice briefly penetrated the ionic interference. "Darling, hold up. The PU." The static crescendoed at that point, drowning out any further communication. Holding position above the mining area, Petty Officer Bokken stated curtly. "Commander Kristen." Ensign Lansford's voice held an urgent undertone. At that point, the dream diverged from the actual chronology of Carlton's incredibly altered life. As he struggled to voice a decision, even knowing already what that decision would be and that he would be undertaking a potentially life-threatening sacrifice, Carlton felt a sudden incessant itching on the surface of his hindquarters. He wondered if the sensation was meant as a foreshadowing of the childish chastisements that his impending action would ultimately result in him undergoing, for that sensation hadn't happened in the real-life situation that his dream had, until that point, perfectly reenacted. Carlton reached back towards his buttocks, intending to remove his protective armor's lower body section in order to scratch his intensely itching posterior, when he realized that his 2 medical crewmates were staring quizzically at him while awaiting his orders. Certainly he couldn't begin clawing his fingernails into the irritably tingling flesh of his ass cheeks in front of his military subordinates, yet his hands continued to steadily move backward and downward. "Carl, dear, don't do that. Rebecca's voice was clear and static-free. Drowsily awakening from his slumber, Carlton became cognizant that his body was that of a 5-year-old boy rather than a Starfleet officer, and that his wife-turned-guardian's hands were gripping his wrists tightly. "Da do yut, Rebecca, mommy." He also realized that the annoyingly sharp itching sensation was still centered on his boyish behind, and that he had rolled onto his stomach while reaching back to scratch his prickling hot, flannel-covered fanny. "Don't try to scratch your buns, even though they're itching intensely," Rebecca told her recently rejuved new ward. "The nanolotion's just been activated, and the quick-healing chemistry produces a strong itching effect, but your bottom's too sore for you to scratch it without risking damage to your skin." "But it's so irritating," Carlton whined plaintively, "it just itches so much." "Sit up, sweetie," his wife-guardian told him gently, picking up a cup of lukewarm liquid from his bedstand. "This herbal tea will help you, so drink it all down." "What's in it?" He slowly sat up, his hips squirming with discomfort. "It's distilled from a native plant," she explained, carefully handing him the cup. "Use both hands, please." "Native Vladivostok plant." Carlton's small hands encircled the cup, and he began to sip the moderately heated tea. It tasted slightly tart with a tangerine flavor. It's brewed from Cyberroot, which is grown mostly on the Mies Plateau, and it has two almost immediate results. It partially numbs sensory effects, especially on the drinker's skin, and it's also strongly soporific. Rebecca sat down on the edge of the junior bed. Carlton finished gulping down the pleasant-tasting drink, then put the cup back on his stand. "It would be interesting to analyze the plant's biochemistry," he mused, "to see what enzymes it secretes to produce those effects on humans." To his surprise, Rebecca began to laugh lightly while regarding him wryly. "What's so damned funny about that idea?" Carlton demanded, feeling confused. "Language, young man." She shook her finger playfully at him. "That's one of the behavior rules, by the way, that you'll be receiving tomorrow, but I won't punish you ex post facto for it now." She smiled affectionately. "Don't be offended, honey, but it's rather amusing to hear a 5-year-old boy proposing biochemical analysis of his drink, rather than just reacting to its taste." She tenderly ruffled his soft blonde hair. "Well, I'm still a medical officer," Carlton responded, "in my own inner perception, anyway." "But you're physically a young child," Rebecca reminded him, "pretty much emotionally, too." She gently guided his boyish body into a prone position on the bed, then pulled the bedcovers over him as Carlton laid his head on the plumped-up pillow. "Thanks, Mommy, it feels better already." The itching sensation upon his recently strapped rump had diminished to a slight tingling, and he began drifting into slumber. "Sleep tight, darling boy," his new guardian murmured quietly. "Tomorrow's going to be a humbling, bottom-blazing experience for you, as your one-time daughters planned it." Carlton did rest peacefully from that point on, until he was abruptly awakened by his new big sister 9 hours later. "Carltai, it's time to rise and shine," Nantessa announced in a sing-song voice, gently shaking his shoulders. "Your bottoms are going to rise after every swat from my paddle, and they'll be shining a candy apple red by the time I'm finished smacking them." "Oh, Nanny." He drowsily sat up, feeling somewhat confused, then noticed that she was gripping the rounded handle of a rectangular-headed poplar paddle in her right hand. Its smooth striking surface was almost 6 inches by 4 inches in size, with rounded edges, and it was 3/8 of an inch thick. The ash blonde wood had some scarlet lettering on its surface, but Carlton couldn't read it clearly with his blurrily focusing vision. "Time for your wake-up paddling, little boy." She slapped the paddle sharply against her left palm. "Wop. This is the start of a new family tradition with my new baby brother, so let's get your chubby bottom cheeks for your first morning paddywhacking from me." She tittered cheerily. "But hardly your last, that's for certain." "Oh, but Nanny, I'm so sore from yesterday." But even as he finished the statement, he realized that it wasn't true. His posterior didn't feel even moderately tender, beyond the normal sensitivity of a 5-year-old's behind. "Tell me another one, Carltai," Nantessa scoffed condescendingly, Sitting on the side of his low bed, she seated herself almost exactly where her mother had done likewise the night before, immediately prior to strapping Carlton's boyish behind. "Just lie across my lap right now, and let's see how sore or dishonest you really are." Carlton started to protest, but he quickly realized that it would have the same effect with Nantessa that it had always had with Rebecca. His spanking would simply be extended and intensified. "But, oh. Yes, Miss Nantessa. Quickly, naughty brother." Nantessa set the paddle down behind her. Leaning forward, he got onto his hands and knees, then awkwardly crawled onto his big sister's lap. She settled him into optimal punishment receiving position, just as she'd observed her mother do dozens of times when he'd still been her father, sliding his torso forward by right-handedly pressing his derriere upward while pushing his head downward with her left hand. Feeling highly vulnerable with his backside upturned and aware that he was facing an imminent paddling, Carlton struggled to fight back childish sobs. Once his sleeper's seat flap was unbuttoned and lowered by his girlish disciplinarian, the cool air making his plump exposed buttocks shiver, he couldn't hold them back any longer. "Ah, wahoo! Ahoo!" Tears began to form in the corners of his eyes, as his 5-year-old body again betrayed his adult consciousness. "Don't cry, Carlton, not yet, anyway, because I've got good news." Nantessa reached back with her right hand, picking up the wooden paddle. She gently pressed the paddle's smooth striking surface against the base of his posterior. "Don't worry, they'll be back to bright glowing red long before I'm finished paddling them, baby boy. Before we start, would you like to read this spanking paddle's inscription, Carltai?" Momentarily shifting the chastisement implement to her left hand, Nantessa leaned leftward to hold its smooth varnished top in front of her sibling Spanky's face. Through already tearing eyes, Carlton focused his vision on the thick scarlet lettering, sibling seat sizzler, for applying sound sisterly spankings to baby brotherly bum cheeks. "Vous very are alliterative," he stammered, thinking about the other side of the solid-looking paddle, the surface that would be blisteringly visiting and revisiting his elevated naked ass cheeks. "I thought you'd appreciate it, naughty child." Sitting up straight and encircling Carlton's waist with her left arm after shifting the paddle back to her right hand, Nantessa eagerly lifted the solid paddle high over her shoulder, her own gluteal globes pressed down against the bed as she took chastising aim at Carlton's invitingly framed, quivering round butt cheeks. "Now you can bawl for real, brother dear." Then she swung the paddle downward, forcefully and accurately, and continued to do so for what her brother felt was almost an eternity. Smack. Whack. Crack. Smack. Whop. Smack. Crack. Whack. As Carlton vainly twisted his hips and kicked his legs, Nantessa cheerfully walloped his plump, rapidly reddening rear end with her specialty-ordered, Penetrators-rated wooden paddle. As she alternated from one blazing buttock to another, focusing her stinging swats on his sensitive undercheek areas, her young siblings' wails merged into one continuing long, childish wah-ha-ha, while his upturned naked nether cheeks bounced merrily with every resounding smack of the hardwood impacting against them. Grinning girlishly, Nantessa wished that the woodshed session would never end, which is exactly how it seemed to her babyishly blubbering new little brother. Sleeping meant flashback dreams and awakening meant wake-up sessions with Nanny's rump plastering paddle for the foreseeable future, Carlton realized dimly while his tears continued flowing. Chapter 1: The Diaper Hero. Looking in the mirror, our hero Captain Zero looks himself over to make sure his outfit is perfect. His black tights were free of dirt and tight enough to show his bulging diaper underneath, which was just how our superhero liked it. His black cotton shirt with the Pampers logo across the front in bright purple. On a black rope around his neck, his purple pacifier dangled on the front of his shirt. His purple cape hung around his back, but it was cut short enough so those behind him could also see his well-padded backside. Captain Zero was sure that he was the only 15-year-old, diaper-wearing, thumb-sucking, crib-sleeping superhero. Yes, he was different, and he knew it. But he was no less important than any other superhero, and he had a job to do. Our hero was satisfied with his look, and throwing his cape back, he darted out the window and into the streets looking for those in need of his special superpowers. Chapter 2: A Thief in Disbelief. "Help, someone please help me," came the call from the street. Our hero flew lower to get a close look at what was going on. A mugger wearing a black mask had a gun to the back of an older woman outside of an ATM machine. Captain Zero was not at all happy. This kind-looking older woman reminded him of his nanny, and to see someone try to hurt her was more than he could stand. He flew down and landed on the street in front of the man. "Stop in the name of all that is good and diapered." Laughing, the man replied, "What kind of sissy hero are you?" "I am Captain Zero, defender of all who are good, and punisher of those who are naughty," replied our hero. "And just what are you going to do if I don't let this lady go?" asked the thief, who grabbed the lady's arm tight as she let out a little gasp at the tightness of his grip. "If you do not let this nice lady go before I get really mad, I will be forced to turn you into a helpless infant so that you may be brought up all over again, and correct your bad behavior." "Oh yeah, I believe you, and I should run away," the man said, mocking our hero, "but instead I think I will just have to kill her." Before he could carry out his threat, our hero stared into the eyes of the thief and he was instantly frozen. He wet his pants and dropped to the ground, letting go of his grip on the lady and dropping his gun. In minutes he had shrunk to the size of a 3-year-old, and he started to cry. Captain Zero grabbed the gun, removed the bullets and threw the gun in a dumpster. "Thank you, Captain Zero. How can I repay you?" the grateful lady asked. "I would like you to take this naughty boy into your home and bring him up right, and I think he will need some training pants. He seems to have trouble holding his pee. And be sure he gets spanked for his naughty behavior today." "I will, Captain Zero, but I have to ask, you said you would make him a baby, but he looks like he's 3 years old." "He is. I want him to grow up again soon and save you the trouble of dirty diapers. But you will have to change wet diapers. He will wet himself until he is, let's say, 8, and he will wet his bed at night for the rest of his life, to remind him to be a good boy this time." With that, our hero flew up into the air and flew away, happy to have rid the world of one more bad man and creating one more lifetime diaper user. Back on the ground, the nice lady led her new little boy home by his ear as he cried out in pain, the shame of his wet pants, and the fear of the spanking he would get when they got home. Chapter 3: Our hero at home. Captain Zero flew into his bedroom window and abruptly started to remove his costume. It was 4:30 and his mommy would soon be home. He changed into his PJs and climbed back into his crib and went to sleep. Crime fighting would have to wait until tomorrow, when our hero's mommy went back to work. Right at 5:30, Captain Zero's mommy returned home and went straight to her son's room to check on him. "Hi Mikey, did you get some rest today?" she asked as she felt his forehead. "My, you're hot. Did you stay in bed like you were supposed to? You know what Dr. Carter said." Mikey, which is the name given to our hero at birth, knew what his doctor had told him, but he also knew the truth. He had been told to stay in bed because he kept getting sick, and had been put in a crib when he had not followed his doctor's orders. Mike knew he would get sick. He always was sick for 24 hours after using his secret powers, but it was a price he was willing to pay. He liked his crib, and his diapers, and especially his mommy's attention, and as long as he kept getting sick, he knew it would continue. So he loves to fight crime, but fighting crime makes him get sick and have to sleep in a crib, but he loves his crib. It was the perfect setup for our hero, and he knew it. Actually, he would have to wear diapers no matter what. He had always wet himself at night, and whenever he got upset, but he liked the feeling of his diapers, and without them he would not be strong enough to fight the naughty people of the world. Mike went back to sleep, and dreamt of the adventure he had that day, and looking forward to whatever would happen tomorrow. Chapter 4: The Bully in Baby's Clothing. "Okay honey, I have to go to work now. You be good and stay in bed." "I will mommy," Mike said as he pretended to roll over and go back to sleep. He heard the front door close and then the car pulling out of the drive. Our hero sprang from his crib and climbed over the bars and jumped to the floor. He got his costume out of his hiding spot, and quickly changed into it. He had a job to do, and he wanted to get an early start today. He had to be home in time to watch his favorite cartoons. Yes, even our superhero loves those animaniacs. Captain Zero flew out the window, and patrolled the streets of town looking for someone in need. Ow, stop it. Quit it, ouch. The sound was coming from McIntyre Elementary School. That could only mean a kid in trouble. Our hero had to help. Captain Zero flew with great speed to the playground where an ugly scene was unfolding. A huge fifth grader was sitting on the chest of a much smaller boy, looks like a second or third grader. The older boy was sitting on his chest, and smacking him over and over in the face. The younger boy, named Tommy according to my sources, was laying there unable to fight back against the bully that had him pinned. He was crying and screaming, but the other kids were all too afraid of the bully, whose name is Paul, and no attempt was made to stop Paul. I could not allow this injustice to continue any longer. As I pushed my way through the crowd, I could hear the children laughing and making jokes at my costume. With only one hand, I picked Paul up and held him 6 inches off the ground, his feet dangling as he tried desperately to reach the ground. Put me down, you purple pansy pampers wearing geek. Now our hero did not want to cause too much of a scene, but he refused to be made fun of, as he rather liked his costume, and he loved his pampers. He had to deal with this young man rather quickly, and he decided to make him cry like he had done to Tommy. Using his mental powers, Captain Zero scanned Paul's mind for his deepest diaper secret. Everyone had a diaper secret, either an embarrassing moment from childhood, a hidden desire, or a deep dark secret. Much to Captain Zero's delight, it was number 3, the deep dark secret that Paul did not want anyone to know. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you right. In what derogatory manner did you refer to me? Our hero asked with a wicked smile on his face. I didn't call you anything. Put me down, you pants-wetting, thumb-sucking, tights-wearing faggot. I'll have you know that I don't wet my pants. I have diapers to prevent that, and I will also have you and everyone else know that you Paul suck your thumb at night, and late at night, when you're asleep, sucking your thumb. You wet your bed, every single night. I do not, you're lying, Paul shouted over the giggles and laughter of the other children in the schoolyard. I can prove it, don't make me prove it, our hero said, allowing Paul one last chance to back out of the humiliation he was seconds away from suffering. You're full of shit, you sissy baby. That's it, you leave me no choice. Tommy pulled down Paul's pants. No, don't, I'm sorry, don't do it, Tommy. Please, Captain Zero, tell him not to do it. Paul said, starting to cry. I'm sorry, Paul, but it is too late now. Tommy, do it now. Tommy did as ordered, and then moments later he and the other kids were rolling on the ground laughing. Paul just dangled there from Captain Zero's hand. He was crying loudly now, as Captain Zero spoke again. That's right, boys and girls, Paul pees his bed every night, and as his punishment his mommy makes him wear plastic pants all day long, even to school. Paul was really upset now, and our hero decided he had had enough. Releasing his grip, Captain Zero dropped Paul, and he scrambled to his feet, pulling his pants up as fast as he could, as he ran inside the school. The children cheered as Captain Zero waved his arm over the crowd as he flew away, just as he cleared the top of the jungle gym. He shouted, be good, be happy, and wear your nappies, and he was gone. Chapter 5 Trouble at Home. Back in his room, he changed out of his costume, and put his PJs back on and climbed into his crib. Our hero was Mikey again now, and he felt worn out and sick as usual, but he also felt good. He knew that Tommy would never again be hurt at school, and Paul would never tease anyone again. He drifted off to sleep, as he sucked on the bottle of juice his mommy had left for him. He liked to drink from his bottle, and his mommy insisted on it, since he had already spilled several drinks on his new crib mattress. Mike was awakened by a noise downstairs. He knew it was too early for him mommy to be home, and he was scared. As quietly as he could he climbed out of his crib and sneaked into his closet to put his costume back on. Mikey was once again Captain 0 and was no longer scared. He quickly and quietly darted out of his room, and down the hall to the top of the stairs. He was a man wearing all black downstairs, loading his family's possessions into a large black bag. He tiptoed down the stairs, and just as he was going to pounce on the robber, he tripped over a box his mommy must have left on the bottom stair. He fell to the floor and his pacifier flew off his neck and slid across the floor. He had to get it back. Without his pacifier he had no powers. The robber, hearing Captain 0 fall to the floor, spun around and saw Mikey struggling to get to his feet. He was weak again without his pacifier and had trouble getting to his feet. The robber ran over and grabbed him. "You little brat, you were going to jump on me, weren't you?" Mikey knew he was in trouble, but all he had to do was get his pacifier back. "No answer, HUH, well I guess you need to be punished, and I have time to do it. I've watched the house. Your mommy will not be home until after 5 and it's not even 3 yet." The robber dragged Mike across the room and sat in a chair, pulling Mikey over his lap. Mike was now only inches away from his pacifier, but it was just out of his reach as he lay powerless across the lap of the burglar. Mikey started to panic as the robber pulled the back of his tights down, and then his diaper. He couldn't believe it. He was going to get his bare bottom spanked by a complete stranger for trying to protect his domicile, and his superpowers lay on the floor only inches away from his now shaky fingers. Smack, slap, spank, slap, slap. The first 5 slaps fell against Mikey's bare flesh, and Mikey cried out in pain. Slap, slap, slap. 3 more slaps and Mike was now howling in pain. His mother had spanked him many times, but never as severe as he was getting spanked now. The robber got nervous that someone might hear Mikey's screams and know that his mommy was not there. He looked around for something to shut the boy up, and he saw the pacifier laying on the ground. He picked it up and stuck it rudely into Mikey's mouth. Our superhero had his power back, but he decided to play along until the robber was sure he had control of the boy. Captain 0 lay there over the man's lap and took 10 more slaps, but with his power back did not even feel them. The robber was satisfied that boy would not fight back anymore, and pulled his diaper and tights back up. Then he released his grip on the boy, and let him up. He reached into his bag and took out some rope, but as he reached out to tie our hero's arms, Captain 0 spun around, grabbed the rope, and tied the robber instead. Captain 0 pushed the robber out of the house and tied him to a column supporting the porch in back of the house. When he was securely tied, Captain 0 ran back in the house and retrieved his mother's favorite bad boy paddle, and proceeded to give the robber the spanking of his life. Captain 0 never allowed anyone other than his mommy to discipline him, and he was not about to take it from an intruder in his home. After 33 slaps, the robber was begging for our hero to call the police. Captain 0 stopped the paddling, and it was then that he noticed that the robber had wet his pants from the pain he was in. "Fine, I will call the police, but you are to repeat nothing of this to them. You were tied up by a good Samaritan, not by a 15-year-old with superpowers, understand?" The robber nodded his understanding, as though he had not planned to tell anyone that he had been spanked by a little boy in diapers. He would be the laughingstock of all the inmates if anyone was to know how he had been caught. Mikey quickly changed and then called the police. He crawled back into his crib, and went to sleep. He had decided to pretend he had slept through everything, to protect his secret identity. When Mike's mommy got home, she told him about all that had happened, and he acted surprised. She proceeded to change his dirty diaper and suddenly gasped, "My gosh, your fanny's all red, you must be getting a terrible case of diaper rash, we will have to treat that right away." Mike was relieved he had forgotten about the obvious signs of his severe spanking, but his mother came up with his excuse for him, so he just relaxed as his mommy massaged Desitin cream into his backside, and he felt a strange stimulation as it soothed his sore bottom. Our hero was asleep before his mommy even got a new diaper on him, and he slept soundly that night. Chapter 6 House Guest. "Hey Mikey, wake up Mikey." Slowly our hero became more alert, having been woken up before he was ready to wake up. "Come on Mikey, wake up." Suddenly Mikey was wide awake. Who was that? It wasn't his mother's voice, it was the voice of a kid. Mikey wiped the sleep from his eyes until he was able to see. It's Mikey's cousin Dennis. Mikey was so happy he loved when Dennis came to visit, 'cause Dennis was always so much fun. But wait. This was the first time Dennis had come to visit since Mikey found out about his superpowers. Mikey was still glad that Dennis was there, but he knew it would mean no crime fighting until he went home. How long are you staying? Mikey asked so as to plan his crime-fighting efforts. A whole week, so we can have lots of fun. Darn, Mikey thought, this was going to be tough. Mikey had to fight crime. If he stopped for a whole week, he would get better and that would ruin everything. If he wasn't sick, he would lose his crib, and his bottle, and be expected to use the bathroom whenever possible. This was going to take some work, but Mikey had to find a way to handle this. Dennis, come downstairs, and let Mikey get some more rest. You two can play later, my mommy called from the kitchen. Dennis did as told and Mikey laid down to decide what to do. Chapter 7, The House Guest 2. Dennis, honey, could you please get all of Mikey's laundry out of his closet? I want to do the laundry this morning. Sure, Mom, Dennis replied. Of course she isn't his mom, but he liked calling her that, and she didn't seem to mind, so he did. Dennis tiptoed into our hero room and gathered all the laundry from Mikey's closet. When he got to the bottom of the pile he found a black box. Peeking over his shoulder to check that Mikey was still asleep, he opened the top of the box, and was shocked to find an unusual costume inside. It was purple and black and said, Pampers, on the front. Dennis pulled it out of the box to get a closer look at it, and just then Mikey woke up. What are you doing? Mikey asked in an obviously upset tone. Mom asked me to get your laundry, Dennis replied as he stuffed the costume back into the box and tried to act like he hadn't seen anything. You saw it, didn't you? Mikey asked a little more calmly. What is it? It's my costume. I have these special powers, and if you promise not to tell anyone I will tell you all about it. I won't tell, I promise. Tell me, please. Okay, but first take that laundry down to Mom, so she doesn't come up. Dennis grabbed the pile of laundry and quickly ran it downstairs to Mom. He wanted to get back quick. He had to find out about that costume. Within a minute Dennis was back in Mikey's room, and saw that Mikey was now out of the crib, and in his costume. Mikey told Dennis all about his powers and his adventures and even demonstrated a little. Mikey watched as Dennis was in shock as Mikey flew around the room. Wow, how do you do that? I don't know, it has something to do with this pacifier I found in the woods, but I don't know what. When I wear my pacifier I have superpowers. Do you have to wear the costume too? No, the costume is just for show. No one would believe a superhero without one. It's a marketing thing, you know, like Superman, or Batman. So who are you? Dennis asked. I am Captain Zero, Mikey said, almost wishing he had cool background music like other heroes had when they said their names. Knock, knock, can I come in? Came my mother's voice from the door. Just a second, Dennis said, as I put my PJs on over my costume, and climbed back into my crib. What are you doing in there? Nothing, come on in, Dennis said, still a little nervous. Mommy opened the door and found Mikey asleep in bed, and Dennis sitting playing Nintendo. I just need to change Mikey, then I'll leave you to your playing until dinner time. No, wait, I just changed him, Dennis lied. Dennis hated to lie to her, but what choice did he have? He didn't want her to find out about Mikey's secret. You did? Mommy asked, almost in disbelief. Yeah, he was wet, and to be honest, I wanted to. I never changed a big kid diaper before. I guess I was a little curious. Dennis wasn't lying now, he was curious about diapers, he had just never said it before. Well, okay, I will call you when supper's ready. Okay. As soon as Mommy left the room, Mikey woke up and started taking off his clothes. I have to get my costume off before she comes back, it's too risky wearing it when she's home. Yeah, and I guess I should change you, while your clothes are off, Dennis said with excitement in his voice. What, you can't change me, Mikey said, extremely nervous. I have to, if your mom comes back and finds out I lied, she'll spank me for lying to her. Well, I guess so, let's get it over with then, Mike said as he laid down on the floor. Dennis came right over to him and started to remove his wet diaper. Wow, you're soaked. Where does your mom keep the new diapers? They're in the top drawer, please hurry. This is very embarrassing, you know I'd kinda like to try one on myself, would you mind? Dennis asked, surprisingly confident. Yes, I would, replied our hero. But, you can wear my training pants, Mom lets me wear them sometimes when it's hot out, they are nice and soft, and thick too. Wow, can I really? Dennis asked. Sure, they are one drawer down from the diapers. Dennis now had a nervous look on his face and he stuttered a little as he spoke. I'll try them on later. Dennis did want to wear them, but he was afraid that Mike's mommy would find out and he would get in trouble. Okay then, you can put one on before bed tonight. Back in diapers. Todd lives with both his parents out in rural Texas. One day while in class, Todd had to go pee really bad. The teacher wouldn't let him go to the restroom. Finally, he couldn't hold his pee no longer. Soon his pee started to come out. Pretty soon he had a noticeable wet spot in front of his pants. The nurse didn't have any change of underwear. Since Todd is small for his age, the nurse grabbed a pair of Pampers diapers she got in stock for the younger kids. Todd didn't want to wear diapers, but the nurse told him that is the only option. After he got diapered, he spent the rest of the day in class hoping no one will notice that he have a diaper on. When he got home, he was lectured by both his parents about learning to hold his pee. They told him to wear that diaper the rest of the day. His little sister, Kim, noticed the diaper. Nice diapers, big bro. Did the poor little baby had a accident today at school, said Kim. Shut up, you little twerp, said Todd. At least I am wearing big girl underwear right now and able to control my bladder, big brother, said Kim sarcastically. It's really embarrassing that I have an older brother who still wets his bed, now I have to hear now that he now wets his pants at school. Todd's parents called a family meeting. Todd, this incident at school was the last straw, said Mom. We are going to the store right now and buying you some diapers to control your bedwetting and daytime accidents, said Dad. Kim burst out in laughter. When we got to Walmart, Kim asked Mom, what kind of diapers will Todd be wearing? Let's take a look and see what they have in stock, said Mom. In the diaper aisle there is a lot of assortments such as Huggies, Pampers, Loves and Goodnights. This will be perfect, said Mom. Same type of diapers the school nurse put on you. She grabbed a box of Pampers size 6. Kim burst out laughing, you would look really cute in Pampers. I hope your new diapers will keep you warm and dry at night. Todd could do nothing but bow his head in embarrassment. On the ride back home, Todd pleaded with his parents to not wear diapers to no avail. After Mom diapered me, she let me watch TV in the living room. When Kim saw the bulge in my pajamas, she burst out laughing, unable to control herself. Poor baby. What's the matter? You are afraid you are going to wet your bed tonight. Shut up, you little brat, I said. Or what, you are going wet your diaper like a little baby that you are. Mom should have put you back in diapers a long time ago. You are nothing but a diaper-wearing baby who can't even control his bladder in daytime. And to think you are older than me and I don't even wet my bed or my pants at school. Todd had nothing to defend himself with. He sulked the rest of the night in the corner watching TV. Todd woke up in a wet bed as usual. At least no wet sheets this time. After getting dressed out of his diaper, Todd went downstairs for breakfast. Did the baby soaked his diaper last night? Teased Kim. Todd, you better not wet your pants in school again, or you're going wear diapers there also, said Mom. At school Todd dreaded about having to wear diapers at night. He fell asleep in class due to not getting enough sleep last night. Todd, wake up and go to the nurse's office, you wet your pants again, shouted the teacher. He was laughed out of the classroom as usual. The nurse put him in another diaper for the rest of the day. She called Todd's mom. His mom came to the school and gave the nurse few extra diapers for Todd to wear just in case. For now on, if you wet in school you will go see the nurse, said his mom. You will wear diapers full time now, day and night. For the rest of the day he wore a diaper in class, dealing with teasing from his classmates. When Todd got home, his little sister was waiting. It looks like my big brother is now my little brother since he can't control his bladder at school and stay dry at night, teased Kim. Shut up, you little twerp, I said in retaliation. I was so angry that I want to throw her steer across the room. You shut up, at least I wear underwear, see, said Kim as she lifted up her dress revealing her white panties with flowers on them. Even though you are my big brother, I am more grown up than you at only 7 years old and first grade. Years from now, when we are both grown-ups, I get to brag that I toilet trained before my big brother. I wear underwear at 7 years old, while you wear a baby diaper at 10 years old. I could not say anything to defend myself with. Todd, come upstairs this instant and get ready for bed, shouted Mom. Yeah baby, time for your diaper change, laughed Kim, get used to wearing these. You will not be wearing underwear for a long time, said Mom. Todd could do nothing but let his mom diaper him. That night he had a dream where he was in school in nothing but his diapers and it was wet with all the other kids pointing and laughing. Todd awoke in a very wet diaper. When he woke up he was like, damn, not again. When Mom came to check on me, saw the soaked diaper. My, good thing you are wearing this, said Mom. She changed Todd into a new diaper for school. When he came downstairs for breakfast, Kim was already sitting at the table eating. Good morning, I didn't see you bring down wet sheets, so I am assuming that your little baby diapers did its job last night, teased Kim. Todd just ate his breakfast in silence. At school he was constantly teased and harassed by his classmates because of his diapers. He constantly have to check in with the nurse and get changed if necessary. The school routine was the same for next few weeks. I managed to make it with no accidents at school the whole time. Mom sat me down in the kitchen and said since I had no more daytime accidents I get to wear underwear to school again, but still have wear diapers at night to control my bedwetting. She bought me a package of goodnights to wear at night. Kim snickered a little, but impressed herself that maybe her big brother going to start acting the part. When the family went to an amusement park that weekend, Mom suggested that I wear a diaper the whole day since long lines to the bathroom. After getting changed in a good night he began to really enjoy himself. He was having so much fun he found himself wetting and soaking that good night pretty good. His mom saw the wet diaper and said in frustration, I guess we got a new baby in that family. Kim laughed, I guess Todd is now my little brother and I have to be a role model and teach the little baby how to use the toilet like everyone else. When we got home Kim dragged me into the bathroom and closed the door. He pulled her pants and panties down and sat on the toilet and began peeing. This is how big kids use the toilet. Since your little sister going to teach you how to potty like a big boy. She finished and then started showing off her panties to me. She was wearing Care Bears panties Mom recently bought for her the same day she bought me Pampers. You like my new underwear? I am showing you this in case you forget what big kid underwear looks like, teased Kim. It looks like back to diapers for me. Brit was 17 at the time. She was very popular and absolutely stunning. She was about 5 feet 3 inches, with long brown wavy hair and had a body like Marilyn Monroe. Brit had a secret only very few people knew. She wore diapers, not because she needed them, she just liked them. It started at a very young age when she used to take diapers from her cousins. She even pretended to wet the bed for a month and got her mom to buy her goodnights. Eventually her mom found out the truth. She did not mind that her daughter wore diapers and continued buying them for her. She figured it was better to be addicted to diapers than drugs or alcohol, plus it didn't hurt anyone or anything. Besides, she liked changing and babying her daughter. Brit wore 24/7, she lost her nighttime bladder control and had almost lost control during the day as well. She still used the potty when she pooped for the most part. Sometimes when it was just her and her mom alone, she would poop in her diapers. Her mom didn't mind changing poopy diapers. It was summer holidays for Brit and her mom. Brit woke up to her mom changing her wet diaper. She just smiled and said good morning. Her mom smiled back, said good morning, and said once she was changed to get dressed, they were going shopping in the city today. Her mom did up the diaper, pulled the diaper cover over Brit's diaper and left the room. Brit got out of bed and picked out an outfit. When the two girls went to the city, Brit liked to wear short skirts so people could see her diaper. It was fun for them to watch people's reaction. So as always, she picked out a short red skirt, a nice black belly shirt so the top of her diaper could peek out, a pair of thigh-high fishnets and red heels. She did her hair and makeup and went downstairs. Brit's mom's name was Amy. She was also a very good-looking lady. She was 5 feet 7 inches, long dirty blonde hair, and a curvy beautiful body. Brit always tried to get her mom to wear a diaper, but she always declined. The girls sat down and ate breakfast. When they finished, Amy asked if Brit needed a change before they left. Brit said no and brought her plate to the sink. Her mom giggled, walked over to Brit and grabbed the crotch of her diaper. "Looks like you need that change after all." Brit blushed. "I didn't even realize," she replied. She then went to her room, laid down and waited for Amy to get a clean diaper. She came in and proceeded to change Brit. Before she did up the tapes, Brit felt her mom stick a finger in her bum. Brit jumped and asked what the heck she was doing. "Just checking something was all," she said. Amy did up the tape and pulled up the diaper cover, then went to her room. She grabbed the diaper bag and went to leave the room. Brit stopped and asked if she could diaper Amy. She thought about it for a minute and finally gave in to her daughter's begging. Amy laid down and watched while her daughter excitedly diapered her. Amy grabbed a plastic diaper cover and put it on. She then went to pull up her jeans, but Brit stopped her. "You can't wear that outfit now," she told her mother. "Well, what can I wear then?" she replied. Brit went into the closet and pulled out a blue tube top, black mini skirt, black thigh-high nylons and black thigh-high heels. Amy put on the new outfit and looked in the mirror. "You can see my diaper," she told Brit. Brit just smiled and said, "I know." The girls got in the car and left for the city. On the way there, Amy told Brit she needed a pee break. But Brit told her she wasn't allowed, that's what the diaper was for. Amy thought about it and gave in again. She let it all go. She felt the warmth spread through the diaper. Once she was done, Amy let out a little giggle. Brit asked what was so funny. "I actually enjoy this," she admitted to her daughter. Brit returned the giggle. When they arrived, they went straight to Costco. That's where they bought the diapers, as it was much cheaper. The girls got out of the car, both with soaking wet diapers. Brit's mom hesitated at first. Brit asked what was wrong. "Everyone can see my diaper and it's soaked. Not to mention how much I'm waddling," she replied. "So you don't know anyone here?" "It will be fun, I promise," Brit assured her. As soon as they got in the store, everyone was looking. Amy was as red as a tomato. They walked straight to the diapers. All of a sudden, Brit's tummy started grumbling. "Mom, I got to go to the bathroom," she said. Brit took one step and just like that she filled her diaper. Her mom giggled. Brit was in shock. She never pooped herself in public before. Then she realized what her mom was doing this morning. She put a laxative up Brit's bum. Amy grabbed 6 cases of diapers and went to the cash register. She had completely forgotten about her very wet diaper. She paid for the diapers and both girls waddled out giggling and laughing. They put the diapers in the car and went to the mall. Brit enjoyed feeling her mess squish around all the way to the mall. She enjoyed it more than it embarrassed her. They finally arrived at the mall. Amy grabbed the diaper bag and they started walking to the entrance. Luckily, the cover kept the stink in so everyone could only see the messy diaper and not smell it. They got into the mall and headed for the bathrooms. But before they could make it, someone stopped them. It was Brit's vice principal. She was a very nice lady, but neither of the girls wanted to talk to them at that point. Both girls went red. They talked a while as if she didn't notice the girls' diapers. But just when the conversation was wrapping up, she popped the question. So don't mean to be rude, but why are you two girls wearing diaper? Amy and Brit just smiled and said goodbye. They left and went straight to the family bathroom so they could change each other in private. They did not care if people saw their diapers, but they didn't want anyone to see their privates. Brit also didn't want everyone smelling her messy. The mall had an actual changing table that was rather large. Amy laid out the adult changing pad she had and got Brit to hop up so she could change her. Once she got Brit all clean and into a fresh diaper, it was her turn. Brit took off Amy's diaper, wiped her down, went into the diaper bag and grabbed a diaper. Unfortunately for Amy, she left the suppositories in the bag. Brit wanted payback. She grabbed not one but two of them. Amy knew Brit would get her back, so she just laid there waiting. Brit lifted her legs and pushed the first one in. Amy relaxed, not expecting anything more. Just then she felt the second one slip in. "Hey, that's not fair, I only gave you one," she protested. "Oops," Brit said with a smile. She did up her mother diaper and the girls left the bathroom. Amy was unsure of when the laxative would kick in, so it made her a little nervous. Eventually she forgot about them and forgot about the diaper too. They walked around the mall, checked out all the stores. They made sure they dropped a lot of stuff so they could bend over, making it even more obvious that they were wearing diapers. The girls bought some new outfits, making sure their diapers would be obvious in them. Amy told Brit that she liked being diapered and she was going to wear 24/7 too. They went into a medical store and bought Amy some diaper covers of her own. They were walking through the mall when all of a sudden Amy stopped dead. The laxatives kicked in and Amy filled her diaper, then went red as a tomato again. Brit knew what happened instantly. "Come over here and sit, Mom," giggled Brit. "You don't look so well, come over here and take a few minutes." She dragged her mom over to the bench and practically pushed her down. Amy felt her mess spread as she sat down. Instead of being disgusted as she thought she might, she actually liked it. Once she sat down, she started giggling. She whispered to Brit, "This is kind of nice," and giggled again. After a few minutes, Amy stood back up and started walking. "Where do you think you're going, miss?" "To the bathroom," Amy replied. "I need changed." Brit giggled and told her that she wasn't going to change her until she had peed in it as well. Amy blushed and said okay. The laxatives weren't done though. As she continued to walk more, she kept messing. It was lunchtime, so the girls headed to the food court. By this time you could clearly see that Amy had a messy diaper. Brit had peed 3 times in hers. It swelled up so much that it made her noticeably waddle. The girls got their food and went to sit down. It seemed as if the whole mall was there and everyone stared. The girls didn't care, however, they just found a table and sat down. Amy giggled as she sat down in her very messy diaper. The girls ate their lunch and watched everyone's reaction. Once they finished their lunch and threw out their trash, they went to finish their shopping. Brit told her mom she needed a change. "Not until you poop again," she smiled. Amy finally peed her diaper and almost instantly Brit filled her diaper. The two smiled and walked to the bathroom. On the way there they made a truce of no more laxatives today. Once they were both cleaned up and had fresh diapers on, they headed to Victoria's Secret. One of the store clerks came up and asked if they needed any help. They told her no thanks, they're just looking. Once the girls got to the back corner of the store where nobody else was, the same girl came up but this time had a different question. "Are you guys Abduls?" Brit smiled. "Yes we are." "I thought so." "You two are so cute," she giggled. "I am too," she told them. "There's an Abdul store not far from here, I can write down the address if you would like." "Yes please," Amy replied. They got the address and left, making sure to thank the girl for everything. They girls made one more stop before leaving the mall. They went into the girls' bathroom, took off their skirts, put them in their purses and left them all, making sure to take the longest route possible and passing by Victoria's Secret once more. They got to the car and put their skirts back on. Both girls were giggling their heads off. Brit grabbed the GPS, put into address, and they headed out. The girls knew what Abduls were because of research Amy did when she first learned her daughter liked wearing diaper. Neither one had ever been to an Abdul store or even heard of such thing. When they arrived at the store, they both were smiling. In the window was an adult-sized crib with an adult onsie and diapers everywhere. The girls got out of the car, took off their skirts and walked in. They spent over an hour looking at everything. There was diapers, clothing, pacifiers, cute plastic diaper covers, even furniture. The girls were in love. Amy bought Brit a cute pink onsie, a pacifier, a few bottles, some more diaper covers and an adult-sized changing table for both of them. Then when Brit was distracted, she bought extra strength laxatives that will make the person lose control of their bowels for a week. By the time the girls went to leave, they had both soaked their diapers. The store clerk noticed and told them to use the bathroom there. Amy and Brit walked in and instantly knew why she told them to use it. There was an adult changing table with free super thick diapers. Once both girls were changed into the super thick diapers, they thanked the store clerk and headed home. Brit was smiling and staring at her mom. She knew that she had finally changed her mom into a diaper lover for life. Now the girls had something in common that they could do together. Brit slowly drifted asleep, happier than ever. Caught wearing a nappy. Part 1. Andy is 19 years old and still no job since graduating high school. Andy would rather sit around at home and watch television. In spite of warnings from mom, Andy does not look for a job. Pam is his mother. She is not happy Andy turned out to be lazy. Really, Jane, my son is a couch potato, Pam told her sister on the phone. He watches television most of the time rather than work like most young adults. This sounds serious, Pam, Jane said. He needs some discipline. Send him over to my house as soon as possible, honey. Aunt Jane has a plan that will lead to Andy being treated like he acts. Aunt Jane is convinced Andy is immature for his age and acting like a toddler, not an adult. Today is Friday, July 10, 1985, when Pam and Jane discuss Andy on the phone. I don't know what to do with the boy, Pam said. I will drop him off at your place in the morning. Leave it to me to put Andy in his place, Jane said. I have an idea on how to handle Andy. The phone call ends and plans are made by Pam and her sister Jane. An hour later, Mom has a talk with her immature son Andy. Pam brings up at the dinner table that Andy needs a change in his daily life. Pam explains she is not happy with her son's lazy behavior and bad attitude. I am dropping you off at my sister Jane's house in the morning, Mother explained. She is expecting you. You must be kidding me, Mom, Andy replied. Aunt Jane is strict, not nice like you are. Maybe I have been too nice, son, Pam said. You are small for your age, but that is no excuse for being lazy. Supper is great, being Andy's favorite stuffed pork chops. Andy does not like the idea of staying a month with his Aunt Jane. After an argument, Mother comes out the winner. A bag will be packed for the trip for Andy after supper. Meanwhile, Aunt Jane is preparing for Andy and has come up with a plan. Andy has always been curious, that will be what gets him where he belongs. Aunt Jane has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-story home in Houston, Texas. The guest room is ready with a twin bed, dresser, and a color television. The master bedroom is where Aunt Jane sleeps, and there is a bathroom in that bedroom. The 3rd bedroom is Kathy's old room. It is basically empty since Kathy moved out 2 years ago. Aunt Jane smiles and sings lullabies as she assembles the old crib Kathy used to sleep in up to age 12. Kathy was a bedwetter, so Mother kept her in diapers every night and she slept in the large crib. This was a family secret and Andy was forbidden to go in that room when he visited with his mother Pam. Andy was always curious about what is in that room he was not supposed to see. Aunt Jane assembles a diaper table in the room too. There is a set of shelves along one wall and a large high chair just set up by Jane. At the age of 19, Andy is 4 feet 8 inches tall, weighing 70 pounds. Years ago when Kathy was 10, she was his size at his adult age. This got Aunt Jane thinking, so she set up the old nursery again. The shelves are stocked with cloth diapers and plastic baby panties for a little girl. Aunt Jane washes 24 Curity cloth flat diapers with pinked edges. These diapers are 20 inches by 40 inches and fit Kathy perfect when folded in half and layered. Aunt Jane washes 12 cloth pre-fold diapers 16 inches by 20 inches that also fit Kathy perfect. These diapers are 6 layers thick on the outside with a wide pad down the middle 10 layers thick. They are 6 Gerber pre-folds. Aunt Jane washes and dries all the diapers along with 10 pairs of plastic baby panties that will also fit Andy. There are 2 pink, 2 yellow, and 2 milky white. Aunt Jane finds the plastic baby panties Kathy liked the best. There are 2 pairs of a white nursery print and 2 pairs of pink rumba panties with white frills across the backside. They are very little girlish. Aunt Jane comes up with another idea. She unboxes some of Kathy's old clothes and washes them. On the shelves are the diapers and plastic panties. Also on the shelves are girls' shorts and tops neatly folded. Several old Onuses in Kathy's size are on the shelves. Aunt Jane made sure to wash Kathy's little girl's socks and a few training bras. All of this is placed on the shelves in the nursery. Shiny blackstrap shoes are found and placed on the shelves. In the closet, Aunt Jane puts 2 nightgowns that are short. One is pink and the other is yellow. Both are nylon tricot and little girlish. Several cute little girls' dresses are hung up. Aunt Jane's plan is to tell Andy the other bedroom that was Kathy's is off limits to him like before. She knows his curiosity will make Andy check out the room. Boy, will he get a surprise when Aunt Jane catches Andy. Back at Pam and Andy's house, also in Houston, Texas, a suitcase is being packed. Mom puts white briefs, tube socks, shorts, and t-shirts in the suitcase. Mom adds a pair of dress pants and a few dress shirts. Mom does not know everything Aunt Jane has in mind for Andy. Part 2, moving ahead in the story. Today is Saturday at 9 a.m. in the morning. Breakfast is served before Pam and Andy put his suitcase in the car with overnight bag. This has brush, comb, toothbrush, and cologne. Aunt Jane is expecting us at 10 a.m. so let's get going, Mom told Andy. I expect you to behave for Aunt Jane. Sure Mom, I am too old and mature to get in trouble, Andy said, being arrogant. At a few minutes after 10 a.m. they arrive at Aunt Jane's house. The yard is neatly cut, edged, and hedges trimmed. Aunt Jane has a dependable yard man. Aunt Jane comes out to greet her guests with a smile. Hello sister, wonderful to see you again, Aunt Jane said. How are you doing, little Andy? I am fine, but you don't need to call me little Andy, Andy pointed out. I am 19 years old now. Andy grabs his overnight bag and Mom grabs his suitcase. Aunt Jane shows them to her spare room where the luggage is put. They do not unpack anything at this time. Andy loves the room with a 20-inch color television. This is perfect for him. This is your room, Andy, Aunt Jane said. Like before, stay out of the other bedroom that used to be Kathy's. Sure, if that is what you want, Andy said curiously. The family gets in Aunt Jane's car to go grocery shopping. Extra food is needed with Andy staying a full month. Aunt Jane has a luxury 1982 Bic Electra 225. They arrive at Publix in just 10 minutes. I will need a shopping cart for all we must buy, Aunt Jane said, grabbing one. They go up and down every aisle in the store getting all that is needed. They get canned goods, frozen foods, deli foods, bakery foods, and finally meat and dairy. Fresh produce is also purchased. The family goes through a checkout and pays for their purchase, which is bagged by a nice young lady. Jane has Pam and Andy take the basket to the car. She wants to grab a few things she forgot but actually did not want Andy to see. Go ahead and load the bags in my trunk, Aunt Jane said. I need to grab a few more items. Aunt Jane goes to the baby aisle. She grabs a case of 6 cans of baby formula. She fills another box with many assorted jarred baby foods. At home she found a bib, 2 pacifiers, and some old baby powder. Aunt Jane picks up new baby powder and diaper rash cream. I got what else is needed, Aunt Jane said, putting the 2 boxes in the trunk. Let's go back home. After getting back home and parking near the front door, all grocery bags are carried to the kitchen. This includes the boxes that are covered so no one knows what is in them. Go ahead and get some exercise outside while I put the groceries away, Aunt Jane told Andy. Andy does this happily to avoid any more work. Jane puts things away with Pam's help. Before they get to the boxes, Pam goes to Andy's room to unpack his things. Toiletries are put in the hall bathroom and clothes are put in the dresser. Later Pam thanks Jane for looking after Andy. She is not sure what Jane has in mind but knows Andy will be disciplined. The 2 sisters talk about old times and how things are presently going. Lunch is served at 2 p.m. since they lost track of time talking so much. Andy is called inside and sits at the table. Roast beef sandwiches are served with a tray of raw vegetables. Everyone has a soda with lots of ice. I hear you are quite lazy and act immature for an adult age 19, Aunt Jane stated, looking at Andy. Huh? Where did you get that idea? Andy replied. From your mother, of course, Aunt Jane said. At your age you must prepare for the future. Andy ignores the comment, not thinking anything of it. The family plays Monopoly until supper, which is a baked frozen sausage and pepperoni pizza. Pam helps with the chores but Andy makes sure to go outside and avoid any work. It is great to see you again, Jane told Pam. I know you need to get back home and I will care for Andy. Yes Jane, lovely to see you again, Pam said. I am happy you will look after Andy for a month. Andy gives Mom a hug before she leaves in her car at 7 p.m. Aunt Jane is quick to have Andy take a bath and wash his long blonde hair. Andy obeys since he needs a bath before going to bed later. I will find a pair of your pajamas and clean briefs, Aunt Jane said while Andy takes a hot comfy bath. Here is your night clothes, Aunt Jane said, entering the bathroom. I put them on the counter, sweetie. Andy bathes, washes his hair, dries off with a towel, and wet combs his hair. He puts on white briefs, white socks, and pajamas that are blue shorts with a top in blue. On the way to his room he notices the other spare room has the door closed. Andy is curious about what could be in that room. It has been kept a secret for years. Andy is not about to go in there now. Part 3. After a few hours of Andy watching television with Aunt Jane, she goes to bed at 11 p.m. Andy stays up until midnight before going to his bedroom. Andy passed by the other bedroom that is off limits. He is about to open the door but changes his mind. In his bedroom Andy watches his color television for a half hour. At 12:30 he is convinced Aunt Jane is asleep by now. He shuts off his television and notices Aunt Jane's bedroom door is closed with lights out. Andy is curious about what is in that other bedroom. Being very quiet and sneaky, Andy opens the door. He shuts the door before turning on the overhead light. He dims the light with a dimmer switch. Andy is shocked to see a large girl's crib with matching diaper table. He concludes Kathy must have been a bedwetter. Andy is amazed to see the large pink crib with white sheets and pillowcase. The diaper table is also large, being pink with a white padded mattress. A large wood high chair is in the corner. Andy sees the shelves filled with diapers and plastic baby panties. He notices Kathy's old clothes neatly folded on the shelves. Wow! So this is the big secret, Andy is thinking. His girl cousin Kathy used to wet the bed and slept in her crib diapered at an older age. Andy opens the door slowly to see Aunt Jane is still asleep with lights out. Curiosity got the best of Andy as he checks out a pre-fold diaper. He opens the diaper and puts it on the diaper table. Should he dare to pin the diaper on? Sure, why not, since no one will know but him. Andy quietly finds 4 large pink head diaper pins. He puts them on the diaper table along with milky white plastic baby panties. Andy does not want the girls' plastic panties, but the white ones are cool. Andy is not a cross-dresser and has been out of diapers for years. Feeling a bit nervous, Andy undresses completely. He lays on the diaper table, curious about how it would feel to be back in diapers. Andy does not bother with diaper rash cream or baby powder. He wants to pin on a quick diaper and maybe check this idea out again when Aunt Jane is not at home. Andy lays on the diaper and pulls the front up between his legs. He fumbles with the diaper pins, having difficulty pinning on the thick cloth pre-fold diaper. All of a sudden, Aunt Jane opens the nursery door. "What the hell are you doing in this bedroom?" Aunt Jane said sternly, "You are trying to pin on a diaper." No ma'am, I was just curious what was in the room," Andy said, no longer wanting the diaper on. "You want to wear a diaper?" Aunt Jane asked. "No problem, let your Aunt Jane pin your diaper on," Aunt Jane said, coming up to the diaper table. "No ma'am, please don't do that," Andy said. "I was not going to keep the diaper on." Aunt Jane is humming a lullaby as she collects diaper rash cream and baby powder. She insists a diaper must be put on properly to avoid diaper rash. "I know now you want to be my toddler girl," Aunt Jane said. "Why else would you be in this room?" "No please, don't pin the diaper on me," Andy pleaded, about to get up and leave. Aunt Jane pushes Andy back down on his back. She takes the diaper rash cream and covers Andy's bottom. Baby powder is used next, and this is repeated on Andy's front diaper area. Andy is feeling embarrassed and humiliated at this time. Aunt Jane pulls the front of the thick pre-fold cloth diaper up between Andy's legs and pins it at the waist. She takes 2 more diaper pins and pins the diaper tight around Andy's thighs. Pink plastic rumba panties with white frills across the back are put on Andy. "Remember, this was your idea, sweetie," Aunt Jane said. "A diaper is perfect for an immature boy." "Stop this!" Andy exclaimed. "I don't need diapers." "Looks like you are staying in the nursery for a month," Aunt Jane said, grabbing a pink nightgown. A pink lacy training bra is fastened on Andy first. Aunt Jane stands her little nephew up and slips the nightgown over his head. The nightgown is pink nylon with short puffy sleeves. The nightgown barely covers Andy's thick diaper and rumba panties. "This is not fair," Andy said. "I am not a toddler girl." "I warned you to stay out of this room," Aunt Jane told Andy. "You wanted to be diapered and now you are." Andy is about ready to throw a fit, but is reminded he can be spanked if needed. This further embarrasses little Andy. His tube socks are replaced with pink lacy top girls' socks. Andy is easily picked up and placed in the girls' crib. The side is raised until it locks. "This is how an immature lazy brat like you needs to be treated," Aunt Jane said. "Taking off your diaper or getting out of this crib means an immediate spanking." Andy is not happy that his curiosity got him in this situation. Aunt Jane is keeping the boy diapered for his entire visit. "This includes day diapers," Aunt Jane told Andy. Aunt Jane dims the light more and leaves the nursery with the door half open. "I'm going to love having a baby girl again," Jane said. Part 4. Andy is laying in the crib thickly diapered like a toddler girl. He was caught in the nursery, which was off limits to Andy. Aunt Jane came in and found Andy trying to pin on a diaper. Being nice, Aunt Jane assisted Andy and pinned his diaper on. Andy objected to this. To further surprise Andy, his Aunt Jane put girls' plastic rumba panties on Andy over his diaper. She dressed Andy in a pink nightgown. Andy is wishing he had his bedroom back with the twin bed and color television. Andy is having trouble sleeping knowing Aunt Jane is keeping him in diapers for his entire month-long visit. Aunt Jane is happy her little plan to get Andy back in diapers for being immature and lazy worked great. Andy drifts off to sleep around 2 a.m. sleeping in the crib. He wakes up a couple of hours later needing to pee. Andy can't hold it and floods his diaper. Aunt Jane will have to change Andy in the morning. Aunt Jane wakes up at 8 a.m. bright and happy to have a toddler girl to take care of again. She is using diaper discipline on little Andy, who is just 4 feet 8 inches tall, weighing 70 pounds. This will make it easy for Aunt Jane to dominate Andy. She decides to call her sister Pam. Ring, ring. Hello, this is Pam speaking, she said, answering the phone. Who is calling and how may I help you this morning? This is your sister Jane calling, Jane said. I have some news about your son Andy. I found him late last night trying to pin on a diaper in the nursery. You must be kidding, Pam replied. I thought the old nursery was stored in the garage. It was until I heard Andy is coming to visit, Jane said. I put everything back in the nursery, including all of Kathy's old cloth diapers and plastic baby panties. Did you tell Andy to stay out of the spare bedroom like in the past? Pam asked. Yes, I did, but his curiosity got the best of Andy, Jane replied. I had to go ahead and put Andy back in diapers and dressed him like a baby girl. This is great considering how immature Andy has been acting, Pam added. He deserves punishment. I knew you would agree and have a wonderful idea, Jane told her sister. Sell your home and move in with me. We can keep Andy a toddler girl. Ha ha, that would give the brat what he deserves for being so lazy and immature, Pam agreed. I told you I would put Andy in his proper place, Jane continued. Give me the month and then move in. I will call the realtor and sell my home, Pam replied. Jane and Pam make lots of plans, including her keeping Andy in diapers and changing him like a toddler girl. Pam needs time to sell the house and a month is good. At first Andy will not be told about mother moving in. Andy, are you awake in the nursery? Aunt Jane said after hanging up the phone. I bet you need changing. No ma'am, I need this damn diaper off, Andy replied. How dare you talk to me that way, Aunt Jane said. You are getting a spanking over my knee. Andy realizes he just made another stupid mistake. He is picked up after the crib side is lowered. Aunt Jane puts little Andy on the diaper table. She takes off his nightgown and plastic romper panties. Andy has a very wet diaper unpinned and put in the diaper pail. As soon as I clean you up you go over my knees, Aunt Jane said, using the large baby wipes. Sorry Aunt Jane, please don't spank me at my age, Andy pleaded. Aunt Jane picks up Andy and stands him next to an armless chair in the nursery. Andy is wearing only a training bra and lacy girl's socks. Aunt Jane grabs the boy's arms and pulls Andy over her knees. Slap, 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 slap. Aunt Jane is spanking Andy's bare bottom on both cheeks. Slap, 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 slap. Andy don't like being disciplined like a toddler. He objects, but this don't stop his spanking. Slap, 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 slap. Aunt Jane spanks both but cheeks a bit harder. You are a bad little girl who needs this spanking, Aunt Jane said. You will be spanked anytime you show disrespect to me, tell a lie, or curse. Slap, 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 slap. The spanking continues for several more minutes. Slap, 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 slap. Soon Andy is crying and kicking his feet, unable to get away. Slap, 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 slap. Aunt Jane feels the boy has had enough. Aunt Jane picks up Andy and lays him on the diaper table. She rubs in diaper rash cream on his bottom, which helps the burn a little bit. Baby powder is used next. Andy's front diaper area is treated the same way. Aunt Jane opens up another thick pre-fold. She grabs Andy by both ankles and lifts his bottom. The diaper is slipped in place and Andy's bottom lowered. Aunt Jane pulls the front of the diaper up between Andy's legs and pins the waist tight. She pins the diaper tight around Andy's thighs with 2 more diaper pins. You get to wear the same sissy, frilly, plastic, romper panties, Angie, Aunt Jane said, slipping them on. I will call you Angie from now on. My mom was a Girl Guide leader and she had a week-long camp coming up, so she decided that I would stay at her friend Eileen's place. I was fine with staying at her place. I got along with her very well. Truth be told, I had a crush on Eileen. The week had arrived. Mom dropped me off at Eileen's, gave me a kiss and left. She took me to her spare room where I was to stay and got me all settled in. Evening approached very fast. A storm was creeping in, I could hear thunder. Even at the age of 15 I was terrified of storms, from an early run-in with a tornado. Eileen said if I'd liked I could grab my blanket and sleep in her bed with her. I jumped at the chance. I woke up and knew something was off. I just didn't know what. I was still really tired, so I just went back to sleep. Around 8:30 Eileen woke me up. I wet the bed. I started freaking out, but Eileen calmed me down, hugged me and told me it was fine. She told me to jump in the shower, she would take care of everything. I got out of the shower and Eileen met me in the hallway. She told me to get dressed quick, we had to go shopping. I went in the bedroom and looked at my duffel bag. The window was left opened and all my clothes were soaked. I closed the window as it was still storming, grabbed my duffel bag and went to get Eileen. She grabbed my clothes, threw them in the laundry room and told me to come with her. She had some spare clothes. I followed her, still wrapped in my towel, to her room. She pulled out girl underwear, spandex workout shorts and a girly tank top. I was horrified. She apologized and said it's the best she had and the underwear was brand new. I ended up putting it all on, thinking only she would see me. Apparently I was very wrong, because when I went downstairs she had my clothes in the washer and told me to jump in the car. Being as how I had a crush on her, I listened. On our way she kept giggling at me and joked with me. She said maybe we will buy you some heels and a bra. I was so embarrassed I just smiled and sat there. Finally we made it to the grocery store. Went, picked up a bunch of food and random things she needed. It seemed like it took forever and I just wanted to leave. I didn't want anybody I knew to see me. Eileen finished up and we went to the car. I assumed we were going home. Again I was wrong. She said she just needed to stop at Walmart and buy a couple things, but I could wait in the car. I did so gladly. We finally made it home, unloaded the car and she put everything away except for the 2 Walmart bags. I didn't really pay attention. I went to go sit on the couch. Even though I couldn't watch the TV as the power had went out at some point. Eileen came in with the bags. Out of them she pulled 2 packs of adult diapers and some wipes. She said she didn't care if I had accidents, but she would like me to have a diaper on. She was being really nice, but I really didn't want to wear a diaper. Then she said the magic words. If I wore the diaper I could sleep in her bed. She was trying to be nice, but I just wanted to sleep in her bed with her. I quickly agreed. The rest of the day went on pretty normal. The power came back on, I got my clothes back. Although Eileen told me not to change, we were staying home anyway and no sense dirtying more clothes. We turned on a movie and cuddled up on the couch. We both fell asleep, but when I had woken up apparently I peed again. I freaked out. Eileen woke up and asked what was wrong. She clued in and asked if I fell asleep. Not thinking, I said no, I was awake. Then shut myself up again. She smiled, said it was okay and told me to jump in the shower. When I got out of the shower I went straight to Eileen's room where my stuff was. Eileen met me there and asked me to put on a diaper and that until we figured out what was happening she would like me to wear them 24/7. I was shocked. No way was I going to wear a diaper specially all day. But she kept on asking. I finally caved. She asked me if I knew how to put them on. It was an actual diaper. Of course I didn't know how. So she told me if I was okay with it she would diaper me and change me. She made it clear only if I was okay with it and only until I gained control again. So hesitantly I agreed. Eileen got me to lie down on the diaper and told me she would do the rest. I did as I was asked but made sure no eye contact was made as I was embarrassed. She did up the tapes and told me just put on some comfy clothes as we were staying home and it was already 4 o'clock. So I put on a t-shirt and sweatpants then went downstairs. That evening Eileen asked if I'd like to go for a walk with her. Not even thinking about the diaper and more on a romantic walk with her, I agreed. She asked if I needed a change before we went. I told her no, I was good as I was still dry. We headed out for our walk. I wasn't too worried about anyone seeing the diaper as my sweatpants would hide any bulges and it was pretty late so no one would be out really. Although it did crinkle a lot which made Eileen smile. Halfway through our walk I really had to pee but there was nowhere to go. I was positive I could hold it. Besides, it's only when I was asleep I had accidents, or so I thought. Being as how we were in town, it's not like I could just pee anywhere, but we weren't close to any stores or restaurants. Then Eileen decided that we should go to Tim Hortons for a coffee. I thought I could make it there. I kind of picked up the pace as the urge got stronger. We finally turned the corner and there it was, I could see it. I was going to make it. Then all of a sudden I let go and flooded my diaper. It swelled up so much it made me walk funny. Instantly Eileen knew what happened but told me it was okay, that's what they were for. She tried to tell me my waddle wasn't noticeable even though it was. I was really embarrassed now and all I wanted to do was hide. But Eileen told me we were still going to Tim's. I just agreed and walked as normal as I could there. Once we got there I told her I was going to the bathroom to take it off but she insisted I kept it on just in case. I would never argue with her so I agreed again and sat in my wet diaper and waited until she came over with our stuff. We sat there a while enjoying our drinks. Oddly enough I forgot about it and just enjoyed myself. We finished up and went back home where Eileen finally changed me. So I had a fresh diaper for bed. The rest of the week went by and I was still wetting uncontrollably throughout the day and night. Eventually I didn't care if anyone saw my diaper or saw that I was walking funny. When my mom got home we explained what was happening and she took me to the doctors. Apparently there was something wrong with my bladder. It took me 2 weeks after to get control again. Some days I really miss wearing diapers though. A sissy school game. Most weekends I stayed at Nanny Mitchell's house. Although at times she could be somewhat of a tyrant, I was comfortable there and I at least felt at home. As well as having me stay over most weekends, at times Nanny Mitchell would have my cousin, Karen, her other granddaughter, stay over for the weekend as well. Although, in a fashion, Karen and I got on well enough, like all youngsters we fought at times like cat and dog. Being a year older, it appeared I would always get the blame if we argued, and I would be the one either threatened with a smack or given a smack. It was no great secret that Nanny Mitchell favored cousin Karen over me. For cousin Karen was her little treasure. She pronounced her words properly, did well at school, and was a credit to her parents. I on the other hand had a minor speech impediment, did not do well at school and was not really a credit to my parents. It was also no great surprise that cousin Karen took full advantage of this favoritism. If I did anything that upset cousin Karen she would not hesitate to tell on me. If cousin Karen struck me, I was ill-obliged to strike her back, for if I did, she would cry crocodile tears, tell on me, and I would be for the high jump. If cousin Karen wanted to go on the swing when I was on it, I would have to give it up, or again she would cry crocodile tears and tell on me. If cousin Karen wanted to play a certain game, I had to play that game, or once again, you guessed it, she would cry crocodile tears and tell on me. And so on. In fact, at times, it is safe to say that cousin Karen was not very nice at all. Most of the weekends we spent together at Nanny Mitchell's were taken up with cousin Karen crying crocodile tears and telling on me. However, apart from all this oversight, we got on well enough. It was on one particular weekend that cousin Karen decided that we were going to play a dress-up game. Nanny Mitchell was busy in the kitchen baking a wedding cake for a couple who were about to be married. As it was pouring down with rain that day, and Nanny Mitchell did not want us under her feet, we were told to go to the bedroom and play. We were also told in no uncertain terms to play nicely, and that she did not want to hear any squabbling or there would be big trouble. Big trouble normally meant big trouble for me, and Cousin Karen getting off scot-free. This weekend Karen had proudly arrived at Nanny Mitchell's early on a Friday afternoon wearing her school uniform. This uniform consisted of a green gingham dress, white school ankle socks, a pair of brown T-bar sandals, a dark green blazer, and a straw hat. Karen had long ago decided that when she grew up she wanted to be a school teacher or a headmistress. When asked why she wanted to be in this occupation, she would reply, "Because I want to be in charge of everyone and smack people when they are naughty." Unlike me, Cousin Karen went to a private school and so far she and her parents were very proud of her academic achievements. Although, as I say, Cousin Karen was a year younger than me, academically she was ahead. This afternoon it was decided that we were going to play schools. Cousin Karen was going to be the teacher and I was going to be the pupil. If this was not bad enough, to add to the humiliation, Cousin Karen decided that I was going to wear her school uniform. I informed Cousin Karen that this may not be a good idea as I was a little bigger than her and the uniform may not fit. Naturally, Cousin Karen was not having any of this. "Make it fit," was her taught reply. She went on to tell me that she was going to go to Nanny Mitchell's clothing cupboard to find something suitable for her as a teacher to wear and that I had better be dressed by the time she got back. Once again I tried to tell Cousin Karen that this was not a good idea as Nanny Mitchell forbid us to go into her bedroom, let alone help ourselves to items of attire for our dress-up games. However, it was too late, Cousin Karen had already gone. Being a little more easygoing than Karen, I decided that rather than protest it would be a lot easier if I just went along with things. However, one thing was for sure. I was going to draw the line at having to wear Cousin Karen's underwear. With dread, I looked at the garments that Karen had laid out for me on the bed. I thought to myself in my young mind, how on earth do I get myself into these situations? Maybe I would have been better off staying at home. However, on second thought, staying at home with my stepfather's constant bullying behavior was a lot worse than my current situation at Nanny Mitchell's. So like I say, I just went along with it all. Slowly but surely I put on Cousin Karen's green school gingham dress. The gingham dress itself was not of the soft cotton variety that I had imagined it would be. It had been ironed and starched, thus the fabric was fairly stiff and rigid. I felt this rigidness as I put the gingham dress on. Next were her clean school socks, which were a little on the tight side as Cousin Karen was a size smaller than I. I imagined if the socks barely fitted, I was going to have some trouble fitting into her brown T-bar sandals. I picked up one of Cousin Karen's T-bar sandals and tried to push my foot into it, but alas it would not fit. Whilst I was trying to fit the T-bar sandal on my foot, Karen walked into the room wearing one of Nanny Mitchell's dresses. God forbid, I thought to myself. If Nanny Mitchell catches us both there will be tears before bedtime. The dress itself was of the plain brown variety with some kind of herringbone design in it and a white collar. Cousin Karen had also helped herself to one of Nanny Mitchell's brooches, which would mean further trouble if we were caught. However, none of this seemed to register with Cousin Karen, who was already well and truly immersed in her role as a school teacher. "Why are you not ready for school, girl?" Cousin Karen barked at me. "Karen," I replied, "your shoes do not fit me." "Well, make them fit," she replied sharply. At times, even though Cousin Karen was academically bright beyond her years, I truly questioned her sanity. Not only did she want me to dress in her school uniform, not only did she want to help herself to the contents of Nanny Mitchell's wardrobe, to make herself look more grown up, something that was definitely sure to get us both into trouble. She now wanted me to magically make a pair of T-bar sandals that were a size too small fit me. Cousin Karen decided that she would kindly, or unkindly, whichever way you look at it, help me squeeze into the ill-fitting footwear. She proceeded to snatch the sandal from me and push my foot into it. Cousin Karen was not one to give up easily. However, as much as she tried, she could not get the sandal to fit. Finally defeated, she grabbed the sandal and brought it down with a very hard whack to the tops of my thighs. I was now used to being smacked and had trained myself not to make too much of a fuss. However, this smack that Cousin Karen had delivered nearly made me howl. It certainly made me wince. "Stupid girl," Cousin Karen hissed through gritted teeth. "Next time you come to school, bring shoes along that fit you." Even at my young age, words failed me. These were not my shoes. However, Cousin Karen was truly immersed in her role. "We have wasted enough time already," she continued. "Put your plimsolls on, Patricia, and go and sit at your desk." Patricia. I thought out aloud. In Cousin Karen's emulation of a schoolteacher, she had already decided in her ultimate wisdom to change my name from Peter to Patricia. However, as per usual, I gave in to her demands. Under the chest of drawers in the bedroom were a pair of my black school pumps which I duly put on. On reflection, I think Cousin Karen must have thought this game up well in advance. In the bedroom at Nanny Mitchell's house which we youngsters stayed in was a small adjacent bedroom. Karen had already taken it upon herself, well in advance, to transfer this room into a mock school room. In this room, there was a chair and a table, which were to be the teacher's chair and table. I, on the other hand, was to sit on the floor, so that Cousin Karen could peer over me in her national health spectacles. Cousin Karen led me into the mock school room and told me to be seated. The floor itself was wooden and had not been swept for some time, thus it was a little dusty. Cousin Karen seated herself at her mock teacher's desk and announced that her name was now Miss Wright and I was to address her as this from now on. Myself, I just sat there dumbstruck. Cousin Karen, or Miss Wright as she was now to be known, went on to inform me that she was now going to take me for a remedial maths lesson. It was no great secret throughout my family that although my schoolwork was fairly abysmal, maths was by far my worst subject. Cousin Karen had obviously gotten wind of this fact and was going to use it to her full advantage. Naturally, Cousin Karen knew all her timetables off by heart and was even starting to learn algebra. I, on the other hand, even struggled with my 2 times table and had no idea what algebra even was. Obviously, Karen, being somewhat spiteful at times, wanted to make this lesson as painful as possible. She informed me that we would start with something simple. Our 7 times table. Cousin Karen gave some form of an evil grin as she announced this. For she knew that if I struggled with my 2 times table, I was not going to stand a chance with any of the others, let alone 7 times table, which was the hardest of all. At times Nanny Mitchell had told us, youngsters, of her school days. Back in her days, there was no such thing as modern teaching methods, it was the 3 R's. These were reading, arithmetic, and writing. The majority of these were taught by repetition. Cousin Karen decided that it would be a truly superb idea to attempt to teach me my 7 times table by means of repetition. Carrying a ruler in her hand, which would soon almost definitely be used as a weapon, she started to recite her 7 times table in an angelic voice. 1 7 is 7. 2 7s are 14. 3 7s are 21. 4 7s are 28. 5 7s are 35. 6 7s are 42. 7 7s is 49. 8 7s are 56. 9 7s are 63. 10 7s are 70. 11 7s are 77. 12 7s are 84. Now it is your turn, Patricia, Karen said in a stern teacher-like voice. Really and truly I did not stand a chance of getting past 1 times 7. However, try I must, so in my dulcet tones, I started. 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 7 is 13. Stop! 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 Shrieked Karen, smacking her ruler down on the desk as if to emphasize the point. Are you an imbecile? Have you not listened to a word I have said? Do you have a problem listening? All these sayings appeared to come from the teacher's handbook of insults delivered to pupils that failed, that Cousin Karen must have listened to over a period of time and rehearsed to the letter. We will try again, and this time listen if you know what is good for you. Once again, in a truly angelic voice, Cousin Karen recited her times table as if to show off how clever she was and how stupid I was. Now you repeat what I have just said and this time get it right. This time I managed to do a little better and got the first 3 correct, however, I stumbled when it came to 4 times 7. Karen in her role as Miss Right was now furious. You are simply not even trying, Patricia, she shrieked. Come to the front of the class, she demanded. Slowly I got myself off the floor and went to Karen's mock school desk. I knew in my mind's mind that I was not going to enjoy what was about to happen next. Cousin Karen had already made a grab for the plastic ruler and was by now flexing it. Hold out your hand, she ordered. Hesitating for a moment, I duly held out my right hand. Karen lifted the ruler as high as she possibly could, and brought it down with as much gusto as she could manage. 3 times that ruler came down on my defenseless hand. This was no longer a game, this was becoming quite serious. Other hand, Karen ordered. Another 3 strokes were firmly delivered on my left hand with just as much force as the ones on my other hand. Karen then looked at her green school gingham dress that I had been made to wear. Obviously, she noticed that the dusty floor where I had been sitting had now made its way onto her dress. To say Cousin Karen was not happy was a huge understatement. However, for the time being she remained transfixed in her role as a school teacher and used the dust that had made it onto her dress to her full advantage. Look at the state of your dress, Patricia. Karen barked at me. How dare you come into class in such a filthy mess? Do you not clean your dress before you come to school? At this time I decided it may be a good idea to break out of role, if only to Alicia looked out her bedroom window at the younger ones in her neighborhood playing games in the park. It appeared that they did not have a care in the world, except to play, have fun and enjoy their life. Now that Alicia was becoming a young adult, she wondered to herself what it would be like to be that carefree again, with no worries for the immediate future. Alicia herself always appeared to take special notice and wished to be one of the younger ones who would be in diapers full time. Alicia had tried making her own diapers out of towels before. However, she knew in her heart of hearts that it was not the same as wearing a real diaper. She got up and changed out of her pajamas and into a white t-shirt and her favorite pair of short overalls. Then she tied her hair into a ponytail and headed outside. On her way out she passed the younger ones in the park as she drove off to school. It was a typical day with many tests, causing Alicia to stress much and leading her mind back to diapers. Ring. The final bell of the day rang and it was time to head home. As Alicia looked in her purse for some makeup, she realized that she had money as she had just gotten her paycheck the day before. Alicia also remembered her mom was working late tonight, so she decided she would finally get the chance to wear diapers. Alex now had a big smile on her face, but at the same time was worried how everything would go. How was it really going to feel to wear a diaper again, and with that thought it turned her on. Alex didn't know why, but diapers always had a strange appeal to her as well. Alex was really nervous about going to the store. She walked into the drugstore and headed for the diaper aisle. They didn't have much choice, but she found a pack of Pampers Cruisers which she knew would fit her after reading some blogs on the internet. She quickly headed for the checkout to make a quick transaction and leave. She carried the package back to her car and drove home. Okay, I did it, thought Alex as she headed to her room. Chapter 2. Alex laid in her bed as she started taking off her clothes. She undid the buckles of her jeans and then slid them down her legs and pulled them off. She then reached down and grabbed one of her diapers out of the pack, opened it up, and slid it under her butt. Alex then took the diaper and brought up between her legs and fastened it snugly. Alex was now fully diapered and loved it. She didn't know how she was going to feel once the diaper was on, since she had never worn one before, but she loved the bulky feeling. She liked the way the diaper was thick and smooth and very crinkly. It made her feel like a baby. Alex then headed over to her closet to grab a pink t-shirt. At this time she also knew she was becoming very turned on. Chapter 3. Now that Alex was diapered and had 5 hours left to herself, she decided that because she had a private backyard that she would play outside. Alex's backyard was pretty small, but it was pretty well kept compared to the weeds and trees growing over the fences of the surrounding houses. She did have some really cool stuff back there though. There was one of those plastic playhouses that little kids could sit in. This one was shaped like a castle. There was a wooden seesaw, painted red on one side and painted blue on the other. There was a really retro tire swing hanging from a tree branch. But the place she went to first was her sandbox. Alex sat down in the sand and felt the texture through her legs. At that moment Alex realized she forgot to use the potty when she got home, but was kind of excited to be able to use her diaper. It wasn't easy, but soon she felt a warm stream of urine overflow her diaper and once again turning her on. Alex was amazed by how good it felt and ran inside to her bed. At this time all Alex could think about is how happy these diapers made her feel.